Welcome to Steve Korn's tutorials. I'm Bismarck Say. I'm a final year PhD candidate at University of Ghana, Department of Economics. I'm a lecturer at University College where I teach microeconomics, financial market and institutions. I'm an assistant WAEC examiner in economics and also a former tutor in senior high school. We have been going through a lot of lessons. Now we have reached lesson 12. So we have in lesson 12, we're going to talk about elasticity of demand, right? It's a very broad topic, elasticity of demand. We're going to talk about the introduction, what is the elasticity of demand about? Then we come down to the types of elasticity, price elasticity of demand, look at the definition, the types, the estimation, the point elasticity, how to calculate the point elasticity, how to calculate the arc elasticity. We come to what factors determine price elasticity of demand of a commodity. What factors will determine whether a commodity has elastic demand or inelastic demand? Or what are the determinants of price elasticity of demand? You look at the usefulness of price elasticity of demand estimate. Why is the estimation even relevant? And what is the usefulness? Is it a classroom rhetorical flourish or is something that is very palpable? So you look at the importance of the usefulness of price elasticity of demand estimate. Then we come to also income elasticity of demand. We know that elasticity of demand is into three types: price elasticity, income elasticity, and cross elasticity. So in income elasticity, we look at the definition, the types, how to estimate it, and what is the usefulness of income elasticity of demand. Then we come to cross elasticity of demand, the definition, the types, the elasticity, the estimation, and we look at what is the usefulness of cross elasticity of demand. What is the usefulness of the cross elasticity of demand estimates? Of the estimates. What is the usefulness of the estimates? We look at data response and give you try questions. So they're very detailed topics. I'll walk you through everything to understand the nitty-gritties, to deepen escalatory understanding and radical knowledge on the very key issues. And let me restrict that the things we're going to do here is not only about passing the what's and going, but it's a very practical thing that you need every day of your life. You understand, later you understand the relevance of knowing price elasticity for yourself, for economy, those who are managing the economy and managing the business. What's the relevance? So you stay with us, you understand everything into detail. So first, what is the broad idea, elasticity of demand? The broad idea. What elasticity of demand refers to a degree or magnitude of response, the degree or the magnitude of the responsiveness of changes in quantity demand as a result of change in either price of the commodity, income, or price of related commodity. So when is elasticity, for instance? It's a very broad thing. What does it talk about? In a broad, very perspective, it talks about the extent to which, it talks about the degree or the magnitude or the extent to which demand responds to quantity demand of a product, responds to changes in either price of the commodity, that's the price elasticity, or income level, that's income elasticity, or what? Price of related product, right? So it tells us how we look at the degree or what? The magnitude. To what extent, to what percentage does the things you demand a response to changes in price? So whenever there's a change in price, or there's a change in income, or there's a change in price of related product, to what percentage, or to what magnitude, or to what extent does your demand respond to it? Right? For instance, maybe if you're buying a product called maybe it's a canned milk, when the price increased by 10%, maybe your demand, you decrease your demand by what, 50%. right? So that means, what was your response, the response of your demand to the increase in price? When the price increased by 10%, you change your demand by 50%. So what is it? It's telling us how your demand responds to changes in price. And it's giving you the exact percentage that you change it by what amount. It didn't say that you just change it, but it told you how much you change it. You change it by 50%. So it tells you the exact value or the magnitude or the degree. And when we're doing the demand theory of demand in lesson 7, we just talk about, when the price goes up, people demand more. When the price goes down, people demand less, right? When the price goes up, people demand less. When price goes up, people demand less. When price goes down, people demand more. But we didn't know the extent, the magnitude, right? So with price elasticity, we have the elasticity of demand. We have 3 types. We have the price elasticity of demand. That's what we're going to discuss right now. We have the income elasticity of demand. And we have the cross elasticity. So there are 3 under the elasticity of demand. There are 3. The price elasticity of demand, the income elasticity of demand, and the cross elasticity of demand. So let's start with price elasticity of demand. So what is price elasticity of demand? Let's see. It is defined as the degree of responsiveness. It's defined as what? The degree of what? Responsiveness of changes in what? Quantity, demand, as a result of what? Changes in the price of what? The commodity. So it's defined as the degree of responsiveness of changes in quantity, demand, as a result of changes in the price of the commodity. What is it saying? To what extent, to the degree, to what magnitude does the things you buy respond to changes in price of the commodity? Not just price of the commodity. Don't just say price. If you say price, you're wrong. It can be price of related product, but price of the commodity. Be very emphasized. So what is it saying? If I'm buying, you're buying stevecombs.com is his pen drive where you have the tutorials. If the price goes up, how will your demand for the stevecombs.com product respond to it? Right? Maybe the price, let's assume that the price, you're buying rice. The price increases. When the price was 5, let's see rice. The price was 5, it moves to what? 10, right? Okay, let's say it moves to 8. Let's say dollars. What was the quantity demanded? At the price of 5, you were demanding 20. When the price moved to 8, you are demanding 10. Let's see. What is the elasticity telling us here? Let's understand something here before we move on. What is the price elasticity telling us? Price elasticity of demand is telling us that I was buying something, the price was 5. I bought 20. When the price increased by 8, I've decreased my demand to 10. So that means your demand has decreased by how much? 50%. Right? Like 50%. So when the price increased by almost like 60%. When the price increased, what was your response? What was the response of demand? When the price increased by this magnitude, the demand, what was the response? What is the price elasticity of demand? Price elasticity of demand tells us the degree of responsiveness. So when the price increased from 5 to 8, what was your response? The response is that your demand for rice decreased by what? 50%. So it's telling you the exact percentage, or it's telling you the degree or the extent to which your demand responded to the change in price. See it? So it's the degree. What was the response? When the price increased from 5 to 8, I decreased my demand by 50%. So you know the exact response. Maybe somebody will decrease his demand by 10%, right? Somebody will decrease by maybe 5%. Somebody will do it by 20%. Some will be 30%, depending on you, right? Depending on you. Somebody may decrease by 50%. Somebody by 2% or 1% or 8%, whatever percent. So it depends on you and your preference. So let's see, for example, if the price of rice increased by 10%, it may lead to a fall in the quantity demanded by 20%. So he's telling you the exact response. That response is that when the price increased by 10%, the demand is going to fall by 20%. It's telling you the exact response. And let me sing this without any equivocation. That when we're doing demand, right, the theory of demand, we just said that when price goes up, people buy less. When price goes down, people buy more. Good. But we were not able to tell the exact quantity, or we didn't tell you the exact magnitude the price will go up. Right? We said that if the price goes up, people buy less. If the price goes down, people buy more. But we didn't tell you the magnitude. If the price goes down, maybe I'll buy more by what magnitude? Maybe I'll increase my demand by 80% or by 100%. That one, it was silent. We didn't say that in that theory of demand, the lecture in at that stage of the lecture, we're not interested in knowing the magnitude of the change. Or that we're interested that it will change. That if price goes up, I'll reduce my consumption. But we should be able to tell us, okay, if the price goes up, maybe Bismarck and David, we are buying rice. If the price goes up from 5 to 8, I'll decrease my demand by 50%. Okay, let's say Bismarck. And David will decrease his demand by what? 20%. So you're now telling us the exact decrease in what? Demand, right? You are now telling us the exact that if price was 5 and moved to 8, I'll decrease my demand by 50%, David will decrease demand by 20%. That's what the elasticity is telling us. It's telling us the degree, the extent to which your demand will change. Not just saying change, but the extent. Is it 50, 100, 120%? It's telling us that, right? In the case of the lecture 7, theory of demand, it didn't tell us the magnitude. All that it was telling us that if the price goes up, you buy less. If the price goes down, you buy more. But it didn't tell us the magnitude to which you buy more or less. So this lesson is trying to add to what we learned in lesson 7, trying to deepen your escalatory understanding of the key issues. So let's look at something. We're going to talk about types of elasticity of demand. First, we talk about elastic or fairly elastic demand. We have 5 types. We're going to talk about all the 5 types and look at what are the response. Elastic demand, or what we call fairly elastic demand. What is it? The percentage change, and fairly elastic demand, percentage change in quantity demand is greater than the percentage change in price. The percentage change in what? Quantity demand is greater than the percentage change in what? Price. So with the elastic demand, the percentage change in quantity demand is higher than the percentage change in price. That is, the commodity is highly sensitive to changes in what? Price. Commodities, if a commodity is elastic demand, it means that the percentage change in quantity demanded is higher than the percentage change in price. Which means that if the price increase, look at something, the commodity is very sensitive to changes in price. Meaning that if the price increased by a small margin, if the price increased by maybe 5%, demand will fall by 30 or 50%, or very big margin. So the slightest changes in price cause a large change in demand. That means the commodity is very sensitive to changes in price. The slightest change you make, it will cause a high demand. If you reduce it by small margin, a lot of people will come and buy. If you increase it by a small margin, a lot of people will stop buying, right? So if you're selling such a product, you discover that the product you're selling has a lasting demand, you have to be very careful. You can't be oblivious about that. You have to be very careful, because if you have a commodity I'm selling at the market have a lasting demand, the slightest mistake I make an increase by a small margin, a lot of people stop buying. If I reduce it by a small margin, a lot of people come and buy. So I'll be very careful pricing it, right? These are very, very important issues that you need to understand. So if the price of a commodity increased by 5%, the quantity demand decreased by 30%. In that case, we are seeing that it's very sensitive to changes in price, right? So somebody said, can you tell us some of the goods that are elastic demand? No, I can't tell you. It depends on you. That when the price changes, what is your response? It depends on you. I cannot tell you that maybe wheat has elastic demand, or maybe corn or maize. No, I can't tell you. It depends on you. When price changes, to what magnitude that your demand responds to it. So that depends on you. Maybe when the price changes, somebody will keep on buying. What about that? Somebody will maybe, but it's not even buying in any way. So if the price even changes, he doesn't even care about whatever is going on, right? So we have that, and always the elasticity is greater than 1, right? The elasticity is always greater than 1 for the elastic demand, right? It's greater than 1 because the commodity is highly sensitive to change in price. The slight change in price causes a big problem, right? And therefore the elasticity is greater than 1. Let's look at this diagram. We have this diagram here. We have price here. We have quantity demand. We have the units, right? We have the demand curve. It's supposed to be a straight line for it. It's supposed to be a straight line, right? Sorry. So what do you see? With the price elasticity of demand, what do you see? This is the demand curve. This is the price. This is quantity. That's that. The price was at P1. The price increased to P2. Look at it. The slight change in price. The price was at P1. Now the price moves to P2. And look at the effect. The effect that demand have increased by a large margin. So the slight change in price has caused a large fall in quantity demand. That's very, 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 very egregious. If I'm selling the product, I see that the people who are buying the product, they have a lasting demand. If the price goes up by a small margin, a lot of people stop buying. Why would I do that? Or if the price increases by a small margin, if the price goes up by a small margin, a lot of people come and buy. But if the price goes up by a small margin, a lot of people stop buying. Then I have to be very careful. Because the commodity I'm selling is very sensitive to changes in price. If I reduce it by a small margin, people will come and buy. If I increase it by a small margin, a lot of people will stop buying. Then you have to be very, very careful when you're pricing the product. Otherwise, you'll be kicked out of business. So look at, what about, we are still looking at the types of elasticity now, but to inelastic demand or fair inelastic demand. What does it mean? The percentage change in quantity demand is less than the percentage change in price. This means the commodity is slightly responsive to changes in the price of the commodity. Example, if the price of a commodity increases by 30%, demand will fall by only 10%. Now what we mean whenever we say a commodity is inelastic, it means that the percentage change in price is always higher than percentage change in quantity. In a simple way, it means that the commodity is not so sensitive to changes in price. If price changes by, for example, if price increases by 40%, if price increases by 40%, the decrease in the commodity demand might be 5%, right? Maybe the commodity is a necessity, right? So you cannot say that you not buy the product. So when a commodity has inelastic demand, it's slightly responsive to changes in price. If the price increases, you cannot say that you not buy. If you are living in a room, you can't say that the price has increased, so you not live in a room again. Only few people can afford living outside the room. The majority will keep on buying. So any commodity that behave that way is what inelastic. In goods that are like necessities, food, and all those type of things behave on that. Maybe you are sick, you need a drug, and if you don't get a drug every month, you die. That way behave that way. If you go the price is up, I don't think because you are sick, you just go home and not buy and go and die the following day. No, nobody in the right sense will do that. So, in simple sense, when they say in one sentence, what is inelastic demand? Inelastic demand, a commodity has inelastic demand. If that commodity is less sensitive, the demand for that commodity, is less sensitive to changes in price, right? It's less sensitive to changes in price. So if the product price increases, so much, only few people stop buying. People keep on buying. So, and if the price goes down, only few people rush to buy. Only few people will stop buying. If the price goes up, only few people will come and buy it, and the rest will be there. So, at any point in time, the commodity is slightly responsive to change the price. If the price even go down, only few people come and buy. The rest will leave it like that. Meaning that the commodity is slightly responsive. So, with inelastic demand, the commodity is slightly responsive to changes in price, right? But with elastic demand, it was highly responsive. The slightly changes in price, you lose a lot of customers. Maybe because your commodity you are selling is a substitute, right? So that's what that the commodity is slightly responsive to change in price. Maybe it's a good demanded by the wealthy people. They don't care about that price. They will come and buy, right? So such commodities, commodity necessities, commodity demanded by the luxury and big men and those things, those commodities behave sometimes in elastic demand. Later, we're going to discuss factors that makes a commodity either elastic or inelastic, right? So just try to hold your gun a bit, and let's do a lot of analysis before we do that. So we saw an example here that the price of cotton is 30%. The price of food increased by what? 30%. The demand fall by what? 30%. We're expecting that the price would have even been higher or equal, but the price fall less. Demand increased by 30%. The price fall less than less. Now the commodity is not slightly responsive to change in price. So if you are selling that product, you know that if I increase the price by a small margin, people will still buy and I'll make my profit without losing customers. Right? So it's a very important concept in economics that is useful for running a lot of countries. So that's the diagram. The elasticity is less than 1, right? Elasticity is less than 1. And we have here the price as this here. And we see that here when the price was P1, the price was at P1, the quantity demanded was Q1. When the price increased to P2, the quantity demanded is Q2. Look at the change in price. The change in price is higher than the change in quantity. Right? So the price was at P1, the quantity demanded was Q1. And now the news Mr. K, this lady has changed and said that you want a different thing. And now the price, and now what we have here, P2, the price of commodity have moved to P2, and the demand have moved to Q2. Meaning that the demand have increased, the price have increased more than the demand. The price have increased from here to here, but the quantity demand have increased from here to here, telling you that the commodity is slightly responsive to change in price. No matter the increase, we got some elasticity should be always, when you calculate any product, the answer you get, if you want to get an elastic demand, then the elasticity should be less than 1, right? So let me say that with elastic demand, always the percentage change in quantity demand is higher than the percentage change in price. Meaning that when a commodity have elastic demand, it's very sensitive to change in price. The slightest mistake you make, a lot of people stop buying. Maybe you're selling a product that has close substitute. You're selling a product that have information or something. So you stop and you can get a lot of subs. Or maybe there are a large number of producers in the market, right? These are things that are creating a very big problem for you guys, right? So that at any point, you should be able to know that the inelastic demand, whilst inelastic demand too, it deals with where your quantity demanded is less than quantity supply. Meaning that at any point in time, whenever price even increases, only few people will stop buying your product. A lot of people keep on buying, right? Maybe it's a luxury. I cannot live without them. If I say that today I'll not do this. I'll not eat. Maybe it might not be good for your health. So such goods tends to be inelastic. The other goods, they fluctuate without behaving inelastic, where they are very sensitive to change in price, and people, the market forces keep them on their toes to do the right thing. So we have unitary elastic demand. Let's the third one. The percentage change in demand is equal to the percentage change in price. So the price of the commodity increased by 30%, demand decreased by 30%. So here there's no problem. Elasticity is equal to 1. Whenever price goes up by 30%, demand also increases by 30%. If this one happens by 20%, this one happens 20%. So there's no problem, right? So they are all, it's okay. So, and then elasticity is equal to 1. And we have here the price, we have here quantity X. We have the curved line. And what happens? What happens is that at the price of P1, the price was at Q1. And the price moved to P2, and the price has moved to Q2. Looking at the distance from here to here, and then from here to here, are the same. If you draw it together, it will be almost the same, because you are using a graph sheet. So the fourth one, so with unity elastic, the percentage change in price is equal to the percentage change in quantity demand, and then for elasticity is equal to 1. Let's see the fourth one, perfectly inelastic demand. There is a situation where changes in price does not affect the quantity demand. This means that no matter the changes in price of the commodity, the consumer will consume the same quantity. With perfectly inelastic demand, we say that no matter the changes in price, the demand is still the same. Whether price increases or decreases, the consumer demands the same. And elasticity is equal to 0. So, think of any commodity, whether price increases or decreases, the quantity people demand is still the same. Just wrap your mind around it. Right? Wrap your mind around it. Think about any commodity where whether the price increase or decrease, the quantity people buy is still the same. And let's see some examples here. We have seen examples of commodity that exhibits this type of elasticity are 1, pints of blood for a sick person, the quantity of salt used for particular food, and others. We're able to identify some few products. It's an extreme form of inelastic because most product doesn't behave that way. We go to some few one. Number one of the commodities that can behave that way when they take the perfectly inelastic is that if you take those who go to the hospital and buy pints of blood, if you go there and they say that somebody is sick, you need about 5 pints of blood. I don't think whether the price is high or low, you buy less or you buy more. If you buy more, where will you keep it? When you buy less, where are you going to keep it? So you buy exactly what the person needs. If the person needs 4 pints or 3 pints or whatever blood, you buy exactly what they need, regardless of the price. Whether the price have gone up or gone down, no, right? Because this is the quantity he needs. You cannot leave him to die. So such commodities, we call them perfectly inelastic demand. We have 5 perfectly elastic demand. This is a situation where this is a situation where price remains the same no matter the changes in quantity demanded. This is where price remains the same. So what do we say? Here price is still the same, but no changes remain the same. But where price remains this is a situation where price remains the same no matter the changes in quantity demand. So if you look at here, no matter the change in quantity demand, whether demand is here, the price is the same. Whether the price is here, it's still the same. Whether you're here, the price is still the same. Right? So no matter the change in no matter the change in quantity, it doesn't have any effect on the price. Price remains the same. So you look at all the factors that determine price elasticity of demand or determinants of demand. We have said that most of the commodities we buy is either elastic or inelastic. Elastic means that when the price goes up, majority will stop buying the product. right? Where the product is expensive. So where the product is sensitive to change in price. So if it's elastic, it means that when the price goes up, people, a majority of them will stop buying the product because the product is sensitive to change in price. If it's inelastic, when the price goes, if it's inelastic, if when the price goes up, few people stop buying and majority keep on buying. And you want to find out what are some of the factors that can make a commodity elastic or inelastic. And in most of the things you buy on the market, it's either elastic or it's inelastic. Why? They're unitary elastic, perfectly inelastic, perfectly inelastic. They are extremes. So we want to find out what are some of the factors that can make a commodity elastic or inelastic. Number one, necessity or luxury. Necessities are goods the consumer cannot live without them. Food, shelter, including others. Luxurious goods are goods the consumer can live without them, like diamond ring. So consumers, since consumers cannot live without them, when the price of necessity increases, only few consumers will stop buying. The majority will keep on buying. On the other hand, majority will keep on buying, will keep on buying the product, making the product inelastic, right? It will make the product what? Inelastic. If the price even goes up, only few people will stop buying. They will keep on buying. But it's a necessity. Because the price of rent in Accra is expensive, so you sleep outside. No, you can't do that. If you sleep outside and you wake up, there's a flood, and the flood taking you to the sea, what are you going to do? So, because it's a necessity, even the price goes up, only few people stop buying and the rest keep on buying. So therefore the demand is inelastic. What about, okay, so if in the case of luxury goods, when the price increases, majority of people will stop buying the product, making the product have elastic demand. Right? When a lot of them, if a product is a luxury is a commodity I can do without them, right? If I go and the price is expensive, I'll just stop buying and maybe wait for another time, right? So when the product is a luxury, when the price goes up, only few people keep buying, the rest stop buying. When the price goes up, majority of them stop buying, only few people keep on buying. So if you don't take care, you can make a loss if you're not careful, right? And so therefore the demand for luxury are elastic, because when the price goes up, people will shift. The response to demand will be very high, and people will shift away from the demand for that product. In the same way, if you're talking about the issue of necessity, the demand for the product is what? Inelastic, and the demand for luxury goods is elastic. Necessity because we cannot live a day without our necessities. Then when the price goes up, only few people stop buying and the rest keep on buying, making it demand inelastic. With the case of luxury, when the price goes up, diamond ring, I can live without diamond ring. When the price goes up, I will decide not to buy, making the demand for that product inelastic. We are looking at factors that influence the elasticity of a product or determinants of elasticity of a product. And we understood that elasticity, we have 5 types: elastic demand, inelastic demand, unitary elastic, perfectly elastic, and perfectly elastic. And we said that all the five is only the elastic and inelastic that's common. So most of the things we buy from the shop, Accra Mall, from Walmart, everywhere, the goods behave either elastic or inelastic. Elastic means that when the price increases, you switch from that product to another product. That means that commodity behave elastic. Inelastic means that the product, when the price increase, you keep on buying the product, or you reduce the consumption by a small margin. Either you reduce the consumption of the product by a small margin, or you keep on buying the product even when the price goes up. That means that, in other words, when even the price goes up, you still keep on buying, or you reduce it by a small amount. That means the product isn't elastic. The first one, we said that whether the commodity has, the first one factor that determines whether a product is elastic or inelastic, number one, is whether the commodity is a necessity or is a luxury. We understood that when it's a necessity, because you cannot do without it. Necessity of goods, you cannot do without them, right? When you are sleepy, well, like your clothing, like your food, if you go and the clothing price are gone up, you cannot say you not wear clothing again, because you have to still wear clothing. So when the price goes up, you still demand the product. So your demand becomes inelastic. So for necessity goods, consumers demand are inelastic. For goods that are luxury, so goods are luxury are goods you can live without them, like diamond ring. So if the price of diamond ring goes up, I can live without diamond ring, so you not buy it, right? So your demand becomes what? Elastic. So second point, 2, availability of close substitute. Availability of close substitute for a product determines whether the product has elastic demand or inelastic demand. Product that has close substitute tend to have elastic demand, because when the price of the product increases, consumers can shift to other product. So also another factor is whether the product you're buying have a close substitute or it doesn't have. If the product has close substitute, when I go and the price is very expensive, I'll stop buying and go and buy the substitute. Then your demand becomes what? Elastic. On the other hand, products that do not have close substitute, their demand tends to be inelastic, since consumers do not have any close substitute to switch to. When the product has no close substitute, when you go and the price is high, you don't have any option but to keep on buying. You're going to buy a drug, you have to use the drug almost every month. When there's no substitute, what do? You keep on buying, right? So your demand becomes what? Inelastic. So the availability of close substitute influences whether a product you buy will be elastic or inelastic. Let's see number 3, habit formation, degree of addiction. The extent to which the consumer is addicted to a product is very important. Consumers have developed strong addiction for a product. They keep on buying even when the price of the product increases, making the demand for the product inelastic. Also, how are you addicted to a product? Somebody say, oh, maybe I like Apple phones. Somebody told me he likes only Apple laptop. He doesn't care about how cheap maybe HP or other ones will be. He doesn't care. He have developed addiction for it. Some people have developed addiction for drugs and some clothing and some wear and perfumes. That's the only thing he wants. He doesn't care about the other ones, whether it's cheap or he doesn't even care whether it's on the market. All I care about, he have used that for so many years and he's addicted to it, right? So such people, if the price even goes up, they keep on buying. So the demand becomes what? Inelastic. On the other hand, when a consumer has not developed any addiction for a product, the consumer will stop buying the product when the price increases, making the demand for the product elastic. So, on the other hand, when they give you in exams, explain both sides, elastic and inelastic. Don't explain one side, elastic, and leave the inelastic. And don't explain the inelastic and leave the elastic. If you have not developed addiction for a product, me have not developed addiction for any phone. Any phone, once it's good, I'll buy it. When I go and what I'm going to buy is too expensive, I'll switch. Right? If I don't have any strong, I've not developed addiction for any perfume or any clothing. When I go, what is the price is good, I'll buy. So my demand for such things is elastic, right? 4, proportion of your income spent on the product. Whenever the consumer spends more proportion of their income on the product, for example, 1.2%, marginal adjustment in its price will not have a higher effect on the consumer's income. Hence, the consumer will keep on buying the product, making the demand for the product inelastic. When a product takes a small chunk of your income, maybe you earn 6,000, you're going to buy a pen. A pen is 1 cedi. When you go and the pen have increased to 1 cedi, 20 pesos. What is 20 pesos to you? Or it have increased to 2 cedis. The amount is too small. You might not even recognize it. Assume you are buying it from the mall, and when the price have increased from 1 cedi to 50 pesos, you take 10,000 a month. I don't think because of the 50 pesos you stop buying the product. Because why? The product takes a small chunk proportion of your income. So you are quite oblivious about the impact. You don't take into cognizance the increment, because it's something you can easily feel. You don't even feel the impact. Therefore, your demand is inelastic. On the other hand, when the product takes a higher proportion of the consumer's income, the consumer will switch or either stop buying or reduce their consumption when the price increases, making the demand for the product elastic. If the product takes a higher chunk of your income, you take 6,000, you're going to buy a laptop that costs 5,000. When you bought a laptop, it was 3,000. When it went, it's 4,000. You'll be very mindful about the increment. Why? It takes a higher chunk of your income. So any product you buy, it takes a higher chunk of your income. When the price goes up, you take it into cognizance that it will have a very pernicious effect on your income, very deleterious effect, and therefore you take into cognizance the desire to switch, and therefore your demand becomes elastic. Time period. The time available for consumers to switch consumption is very important. In a short run, when the price of the product increases due to the short period, consumers cannot switch their consumption, right? Hence, they will keep on buying the product, making the demand inelastic. Sometimes the time period, the price have increased in maybe in La or Osu in Accra. But maybe within the first 2 days, you've not discovered that I can get a product to buy. Maybe at Tisi or Nungwa. That will be cheap. We don't know. Maybe you're living here and the price have gone up here. But you don't know that the price, you can get the same product somewhere cheaper. So in a short period, within 1 or 2 days, you keep on buying. Well, you don't know. So the short period, you keep on buying because you have no option. That's what is available to you. You have not discovered that you can get a product somewhere else to buy at a cheaper price. So in a short run, you keep on buying and your demand becomes inelastic. In a long run, you can switch to other product when the price of the product increases, making the demand for the product elastic. In the long run, later when you discover that you can get the same product to buy at a different place at a cheaper price, you decide you will stop buying from where you are buying in your locality and go and search for that thing elsewhere, right? In that case, the demand becomes elastic. In the long run, you can adjust, you can impregnate into your scheme of things. The things that you do, okay, these are the things that goes on. Okay, I can be able to discover that I can go to maybe Dansuman, I can go to Tabi Okoshi or wherever to get a product to buy at a minimum price, right? What happens? What happens is that you switch your demand in the long run, and these are very, very key and very concomitant decision makings of household consumption in everyday life. That is elastic. Number of uses of the product. Consumers will keep on buying the product with multiple uses when their price increases, since it will serve them multiple purposes, making their demand for the product inelastic. So when the product serves the consumer multiple purposes, if I know that when I buy this product, I can use it for several things, right? Okay, why not? We bought this camera, we're using the camera to shoot economic tutorials, maths, science, English, a lot of things. One camera, we're using it for a lot of things, right? We are using it to shoot weddings and other places too, right? So if the product has multiple uses, even when the price goes up, because you know you can use it for multiple things to make money, you keep on buying. Then therefore your demand becomes what? Inelastic. Product that cannot serve multiple purposes, the consumer will switch from demand when the price increases, making the demand for the product elastic. If the product doesn't have multiple purposes, it's not relevant. If the price goes up, you might be quite very. You try to see that this is to me if I buy it, quite a profligate expenditure or frivolous expenditure, because it cannot serve you multiple purposes. And what is the relevance? So if it cannot serve you multiple purposes, then there's no relevance of you might decide to switch from the demand. Your demand becomes elastic. Like football players, one football player can play only one position. One football player can play about 6 positions. So what is the essence here? If there's no need, they'll get rid of one player and take the one who can play more than 6 positions. Availability of product. Products that are durable tends to have inelastic demand since it will last long for the consumer. On the other hand, products that are less durable have less elastic demand. Products that last long. Somebody says, I like Apple product. Why? It lasts long. So once it lasts long, it doesn't care about the increment in price. He'll keep on buying, right? So if the product lasts long, what happens is that the person keeps on buying, but you know that when I get it, it can last long for me for about 4 or 6 or 10 years. One guy told me he bought a laptop when we were in university around 2010. He has used the laptop after today. It was about 10 years. After 13 years now, 12 years now. So next time when he's going to buy that, he doesn't care about the price. But he knows that whatever he buy to be done. But if the product is not durable, you'll be very, very, very skeptical about it, and you take into consideration how it affects all those things in the period. One of the things we want to discuss here is the usefulness of the price elasticity of demand estimates. Why is it relevant, right? People think the things we learn in the classroom are for classroom. People think they're just rhetorical flourish, they're just for classroom work. They don't see the practicality on the field, right? So what is the relevance if you take even a WASI aside and you take your real life? What is the relevance? Number one, guide producers in pricing of their product. Producers having knowledge in price lines of demand will help them to rightly estimate their consumers' sensitivity to price changes. This will help them in the right pricing of their product to obtain higher revenue. So this is JP Penney retail shop in US applying the concept of price elasticity of demand in 2010 increased their revenue by 6.2%. So one of the things is that if I'm a producer, I'm able to identify that the things I'm selling, these things have elastic demand, inelastic. I will be very careful about the pricing. Why? When the product is inelastic, I tell you that when the price even increase, only few people stop buying. The people will continue buying the product. For instance, if the good is a necessity, right? Or if the good is maybe something is the good the consumers have information. So if I know that the product I'm selling, if I even increase the price, but maybe I increase the price, only few people stop buying. A lot of people keep on buying. Then I'll make my profit. Then I can increase the price. Just add common sense to it and increase so that I'll make my revenue and go away, right? Maybe the commodity doesn't have even close substitute. So when the price goes up, people have no option but to keep on buying. So if you're able to establish that the thing you're selling has elastic demand, you can take advantage and increase the price marginally to make profit. If you get to know that the things you're selling have elastic demand, that means you know that elastic demand, when the price increases by a small margin, a lot of people stop buying. Maybe the commodity have substitute or it's a luxury. So if the commodity you are selling, the slightest increase in price, a lot of people stop buying. Then you have to be very careful. Because if I know that my product I'm selling has elastic demand and I go and increase the price more margin, and maybe the commodity have close substitute or it's a luxury, people will stop buying and I'll lose revenue. So it is a very good thing. Those who want to be business mongols, business magnates, captains of industries and all those things, the luminaries in business, I think you can take this into cognizance without any equivocation, so that it can guide you in your business when it comes to pricing of the product. Big companies like JP Penney, Walmart, and those big companies, Reliance, Alliance, and all those big companies, sometimes apply this concept when it comes to pricing of their product, and they help them very propitiously. 2, taxation. Government's knowledge on this concept guides them in the taxation of their product. In order to obtain the needed tax revenue, whilst protecting consumers, government will impose higher taxes on products that have inelastic demand and less taxes on products that has elastic demand. This because consumers will still buy product with inelastic demand when the price increases. Instead, the government of Ghana imposed higher taxes on luxury cars in 2019. Right? So one of the things too is that taxation. Government will just not wake up from the bed and tax product. No. Experts, they will look at the goods that people are consuming in the country. Which of goods are inelastic, which are elastic. So that they can even shift more taxes to goods that are inelastic, where even the price even goes up, people will still be buying the product. And less taxes on goods that are elastic, right? So they can decide that, okay, we can decide to decipher which product has inelastic demand, which product has elastic demand. If there's inelastic demand, let's put some more taxes on them, because if even the price goes up, people will still be buying. Only few people stop buying. And let's put less taxes on goods that are elastic, because the elastic commodity, if you increase the tax and the price goes up, a lot of people stop buying. So it guides government, and this is being used by government all over the world when it comes to price taxing of product, right? It's being used by when it comes to VAT, when it comes to sales tax and all those excise duties. And those government take all these things into cognizance when it comes to pricing of product, taxation of product on the part of government. Shifting of tax burden. Producers in most cases want to shift their tax burden to their consumers. The extent to which these producers can do that depends on whether the product has elastic or inelastic demand. When the product has inelastic demand, producers can shift more of the tax burden to consumers. On the other hand, when the product has elastic demand, the producer can shift less of this tax burden. So most of the times, you know that most producers, when the government impose sales tax on them or post tax on them, the producer will also shift them, because we say that this thing we call the incidence of taxation. If the government tax producers, they will not bear all. They will shift some to consumers. But they have to be very careful the nature of the consumer, whether the product have elastic demand or inelastic demand. If you have inelastic demand, they can leverage on it, shift more to producers, and they'll be buying, right? But if it has elastic demand, they'll be very careful of doing that. Secondly, they will be very careful. Why? If we shift more to consumers and they recognize that, then most of them will shift, because you know that when it's elastic, their consumers are very sensitive to the prices. So the slightest increase in price will make a lot of people run away, move away from the product. And therefore, you have to impregnate this in your decision making very, very well. If you're a producer, otherwise you'll be kicked out of business because you fail to understand the nitty-gritties and the pertinent issues that borders on price elasticity of demand. Okay. For price discrimination, producers sometimes want to make more profit by charging different price to different consumers. This is known as price discrimination. Producers will be successful by charging higher price to consumers who have inelastic demand and lower price for consumers who demand for the product is elastic. So look at studies. You have Zuwanya company practiced price discrimination successfully in the Indonesia market in 2011. This increased their profit by 8.2%. What are we saying here? They're talking about what they call price discrimination. Price discrimination is that maybe our video we are selling here. Okay, we have produced it at the same cost, but maybe when you take it to maybe Nigeria, we're going to say the higher price. When you take it to Togo, we're going to say the lower price. That's price discrimination. Something you produce at the same cost, you produce something at the same cost, but you're selling to different consumers at different prices. Because you produce the product at the same cost, right? That's price discrimination. But you can be successful unless the people you want to practice that thing on, the demand for the product is elastic or inelastic. If the demand is inelastic, right? If the demand for the product is inelastic, it means that if the product for the consumer is inelastic, it means that you can even increase the prices for such product because they will still be buying. But if the product is elastic, right, then you might think of maybe be very careful how maybe the price, you can lower the price. It can go maybe, and when I go to maybe some people like maybe Sodom and Gomorrah, those people I know they don't have money, so and the demand for my product is very elastic. I'll reduce the price so that they will buy. When I go to where the rich and the bourgeoisie live, Cantonment, Trasaco, and those areas, okay, what's the price? I will increase the price then because that place they are wealthy men and bourgeoisies, they can buy, right? So you look at whether the product, where the people are going to take the product to, is the demand for your product elastic or inelastic? If you get that knowledge, you can use that to practice price discrimination, make exorbitant profit without any sweat. So the concept of elasticity help also in price discrimination. Producers that want to practice price discrimination, this is not done very often, but some companies actually do it. But this is not done often in business sector. People also do it anyway. So if I know the product I send is the product has elastic demand and inelastic demand, and I have to be very careful. Because if I increase the price, if it's elastic demand, if I increase the price, people still be buying, I'll make my profit. But if I have elastic demand, maybe I have to reduce the price so that the people there can buy for me and I'll make more of my profit. Right? You see that company like Zuvinga company price discrimination in Indonesia, let's increase their profit by 8.2%. International trade. Government in some countries practice devaluation. That is, they deliberately reduce the value of their currency. This is done with the motive of making import expensive and export cheap to improve their balance of payment. This can be successful when local demand for the product is elastic and foreign demand for the product is also elastic. In 2009, China devalued their currency by 20% to take advantage of international trade. What countries trade among themselves? If you like, go and watch our video on international trade. In our first set of videos, we shoot 18 topics. If you have international trade, go and watch the topic. Countries want to gain from international trade. International trade is just trading with the rest of the world, right? We want to trade with the rest of the world. If you want to gain, what do you want to do? Your exports should be very cheap and import expensive. Why? So that when you export, you make more money. When you import, because it's expensive, your citizens will not buy the product, and it will help to help your company and local companies to grow. But before you can practice devaluation, you be successful. It needs two conditions. Without two conditions, it will not be successful. One, the demand for import, your citizens' demand for import is elastic. Why? So when you practice this devaluation and the imports become expensive, because your citizens' demand for import is elastic, they will shift away from the foreign product. Let me take it again. If you want to practice devaluation and be successful, first you have to ensure that your consumers' demand for import, is it elastic or inelastic? In Ghana, our demand is inelastic. If you see that it's from Ghana, this from here, foreigner, even Vietnam, in Ghana, they buy the Vietnam and leave Ghana. Right? If you find out that my citizens' demand for import is elastic, when I do the devaluation, it will make import expensive. When import is expensive, they will shift away from importation and consume local products. If foreign demand for my product, I take my goods also outside. It's supposed to make my export very also cheap. So if foreign demand for my product is elastic, when it's cheap, they will buy more. So we see China 2019 devalue their currency. So if you want to practice devaluation, one is a deliberate fall in the value of currency when the government deliberately reduces the value. Why would they do that? They will do that so that their imports will be expensive and export will be cheap, right? That's why they do that. But if it will be successful, it needs a concept of price elasticity of demand. Why? This is so because if this will be successful, when your local demand for import should be elastic, meaning that when you devalue and the import becomes very expensive, people will shift away from the buying of the foreign product and buy your domestic product, right? And the foreigners' demand for your export should be what? Elastic, so that when it's cheap, they will switch to buy yours. If these two conditions hold, and also you should be someone who produces a lot and export. If these conditions hold, then practicing this in international trade will be successful. Anything short of that will not give you that propitious outcome. So we have now come to the estimation, right? Price elasticity of demand, you have to estimate. So we are not going to the data response here. We go to the data response. That will be the latter part. We're going to do income elasticity, cross elasticity, and after that we go to data response. But before that, we have to do some estimations on price elasticity of demand and interpret. Then after that, we go to income elasticity. Gradually, we are getting there. But we know that when it comes to elasticity, we have the two ways of estimating price elasticity of demand. We have the point elasticity of demand and we have the arc elasticity of demand, right? So, but in most WASI exams, is the arcs on point elasticity of demand. Hardly do you see a question on arc elasticity of demand. Most questions are on point elasticity of demand, right? So let's see. But I think it will be very appropriate to let you know that there's something like arc elasticity, right? When you go meet someone, you see that your lecturer didn't teach you. So let's see. Point elasticity of demand is computed as the percentage change in the demand divided by percentage change in price, without taking into account the midpoint on the demand curve. That is the price elasticity of demand. So what do we say here? The point elasticity, what are we trying to take into cognizance? We are considering the percentage change in quantity demand by percentage change in price. Just a point, right? If you have a demand curve like this, let me get some space here. If you can see from this angle here, price and quantity. And if I was here, right? I was here, 10, 20, 30, 40. I was here, I moved to B. Point elasticity, we'll look at the change. What is the change in price? What is the change in quantity, and use it for the estimation. It do not use the midpoint. Midpoint is when they use both. The initial one. So let's look at something. What's the formula? The price elasticity of demand is equal to percentage change in quantity demand over the percentage change in price. Right? This can be simplified as price elasticity of demand change in Q over change in P times initial price over initial quantity. So this one here it can be rewritten as that, right? You don't need to know the process. It's not necessary at your stage. What is the process? How come percentage change in quantity demanded turn into percentage change in this? It's not necessary at your stage. You don't need to be so curious about the very unnecessary things, right? What I'm trying to say, the percentage change in quantity demand over percentage change in price can be it can be simplified as ED. The ED, this is a subscript. That's a subscript. That's a subscript ED in change in Q over change in P, the initial price, initial quantity, right? So let's try to break it down. ED, which is a subscript, ED, which is a subscript, is the price elasticity of demand, right? Change in Q here is called, this delta Q is called change in quantity demand. What's the change in quantity demand? Change in quantity demand is the Qn minus Qi. What is Qn? Is the new quantity demand. What is Qi? Initial quantity demand, or old, or initial, or original. In other books, they say that old quantity demand, original, or initial, right? Could just anything like that. So this change in quantity demand here, mathematically, can be written as change in Q is equal to change in N, Qn minus Qi. What is Qn? Qn is the new quantity demand. What is Qi? Is the initial quantity demand, right? We're going to use this to solve a question. It's not difficult. It's very, very easy, right? Be cool. So this Q, delta Q, which represents change in quantity demand, mathematically can be written as change Q is equal to change in Q is equal to Qn minus Qi. What is Qn? Qn is equal to new quantity demand, and Qi is initial quantity demand. What about delta P? Change in P, the delta P here is change in P. And change in P is called Pn. What is Pn? The new price. And Pi, what is Pi? Initial price. So the delta P here, what is called change in price, mathematically can be written as Pn minus Pi. What is Pn? Pn is the new price, Pi is the initial price. Okay? So if you have that, so when it comes to the formula, change in Q over change in P times initial price times initial quantity. Be very careful. I've marked some scripts before where students maybe under pressure, you don't know I don't know what I want to attribute it to. They interchange these things, right? They bring this here, they bring this here, and it makes it wrong. So please keep this in your coconut. I don't think you have the names of all your enemies in your head. You should be able to keep this small thing in your head, right? So let's move away. What about the arc elasticity of demand? The arc elasticity of demand, the formula for arc elasticity of demand measures the midpoint of prices and quantity demand of demand curve. So the formula for arc elasticity of demand, it measures what? Midpoint of price and quantity on the demand curve. So if the arc elasticity, for instance, with the arc elasticity, if there is a change like this, let me look at. With the arc elasticity, arc elasticity up, maybe here 10, 20, 15, 30, AB. When they are estimating it, it will take the average of the points Like here, look at this. Change in Q, but change in P. But here, in the point elasticity, we did PI and QI. But here is using the P1, price of 1, or the new price, I will say PN, or whatever you want to say. It depends on you. Maybe PN and PI. Right? Maybe the initial price initial quantity, using the two and find the average. Well, it's a point on a demand curve and there's a change. So he's finding the average of the change. But here we are not doing that, we're doing the initial price, the initial quantity. Here too, you look at the quantity demand, the new quantity demand and the initial. Maybe let me put it that way. The new price plus the initial price, the new quantity, initial quantity divided by 2, right? So the new price for initial price divided by 2, so that if you have 2 points on the line, the midpoint, Qn plus Qi divided by 2, midpoint, then use that for the estimation, right? So the point elasticity, there's a thin line between the two. While this one use points, and look at just a point, like Pn is the initial price. This one is Q1. Here it used the midpoint of 2, both the new price plus the initial price divided by 2, both the new quantity plus the initial divided by 2. That's a way of trying to do the midpoint way of estimation. But I've already retreated. Most WASI exams questions focus on point elasticity. And I think I hardly see any question on arc elasticity. I'm just trying to do it to draw your attention to these things. So let's say we have a question I want to use to try understanding on the price elasticity of demand and the arc, right? But this is not the data response. I've already told you the data response will come later part. Let's see what it is. It's a very simple question, very, very simple. The price of Uncle Sam rice increased from 20 cedis to 30 cedis. Each quantity demand fell from $40 to $30. Calculate the price elasticity of demand of Uncle Sam rice and interpret. So here we have a product called Uncle Sam rice, right? The price increased from 20 to what? 30. So what is the new price? The new price is what? 30 cedis. Okay. New price is 30. The new price is 30. The initial price is what? 20. What's the change? The change in price here, because the new price minus initial price, which is 30 minus 2, which will give you what? 10. Good. The price was 20 and it reduced to 30. Increased to 30, sorry. The price was what? 20 cedis. Then it increased to what? 30 cedis. So that means the new price now is 30 cedis. The old price is what? 20. If you find a change, it's going to be 30 minus 2. It's going to be what? 10. What about the new quantity? And the quantity also decreased or fell. Because price increased, quantity decreased. From 45, it went to what? 30. You know the law of demand says that whenever the price increase, quantity falls. So the new quantity now is what? $30. And the initial quantity or the old quantity was what? $40. So if you want to find a change, the change is equal to the new my initial. Very simple. What's the new one? 30 minus 45 basically negative 15, right? I've seen some script, I've marked some script where students want to bring the big number first and the small number second. People, I don't know how they understand it. When they see this 45, they'll bring the 45 first and bring the 30 first. No. It should be in order. New minus initial. Regardless of which one is bigger or which one is older, it doesn't matter. So what do we have now? Let's go and put that in our formula. What is our formula? The price elasticity of demand is equal to change in Q over change in P plus the initial price over initial quantity. So let's see, what is the change in Q? Change in Q is equal to what? 15. What is the change in price? Change in price is what? 10. What's the initial price? Initial price was what? 20. What's the initial quantity? Initial quantity is what? 45. Right? If you use your calculator to punch, you're going to get something called 0.66. Right? 0.66. If you use your calculator to punch, this is what you're going to get. Right? So you can use your calculator to type the top, multiply the top, multiply the down, and use the denominator to divide the numerator, right? You know those things. You know this in mathematics. So what we did was that, let me just wrap to within a second. The price increased from 20 to 30. So the new price is 30, the old price is 20. And therefore, if you want to find a change, it's the new minus the initial. 30 minus 20, that gives you 10, right? What about the quantity? The quantity decreased from 45 bags to 30 bags. So what is the change in quantity? So this is the new quantity 30, this is the initial quantity 45. The change in quantity will be new quantity minus the initial, which is 30 minus 45, give you negative 15. So if you want to price elasticity of demand, what's the formula? Change in Q over change in P times initial price times initial quantity. What's the initial change in quantity? Negative 15. What's the change in price? 10. What is the initial price? Initial price is what? 20. What's the initial quantity? 45. If you put in your calculator and you point, you're going to get negative 0.66. And you are supposed to interpret. Anytime, let me tell you, anytime you calculate price elasticity of demand, you get negative. I say anytime you calculate what? Price elasticity of demand. I'm very, very emphatic. We're going to do a lot of calculation. We're going to do income elasticity. We're going to do cross. And the estimation, the outcome differs. But anytime you do price elasticity of demand, the answer should be negative. Why should it be negative? Because if you follow the tutorial very well, if you did the theory, if you remember lesson 7, the theory of demand, we said that there is a negative relationship between price and quantity demand. So whenever price goes up, demand falls. When the price goes down, demand rises. So there's a negative relationship. Because of that, anytime you do price elasticity of demand, I'm very, very, without any equivocation, I'm telling you, anytime you do price, the word is price elasticity of demand, you have to get negative. If you don't get negative, you are wrong. So let's see. So you see, even it's here, if you look at the question, the preamble, it shows that. It shows in the preamble. It was 20, it went to what? 30, price increase. What happened to demand? Demand decreased from 45 to 30. So you see that there's a negative relationship. So if when you rank answer, it should reflect in the answer. So anytime if you want to interpret, you have to take the absolute value, because always you get negative. And for you to interpret it, you have to take away the negative before you can interpret. Otherwise, if you don't take away the negative, all your answers will be negative. Which means that you say that all products you sell, they are inelastic. But when elasticity is less than 1, it's inelastic. Right? And if all your answers are negative, you don't take the negative away, all your answers, you interpret them that all commodities are inelastic. Because inelastic goods are goods we have elasticity less than 1, and negative are less than 1. So you have to take away the negative so that you can do a good interpretation. So you have to find what I call absolute. So you find the absolute. Find the absolute. It gives you what? Negative 0.66 absolute will give you positive 66. When you say find absolute, if it's negative, make it positive, right? That's the symbol. The symbol is a mathematical symbol, absolute. If it's positive, negative, make it positive. If it's negative 5,000, make it positive. Positive 5,000. Now can we interpret? Is it less than 1 or is greater than 1? It's less than what? 1. Meaning that the commodity, what does it mean? This means that this means that Uncle Sam Rice. This means that Uncle Sam Rice has inelastic demand. In other words, it is slightly responsive and it's slightly responsive to changes in price. So somebody asks you, what does it mean? If I've not been to school, I've never been to school before. What does this thing mean? Right? That's what those market women and those who do business, that's what they want to hear. It's not about just the mathematics. The mathematics is for you who have gone to school. What about me? I've not gone to school. If you've got this, what does it mean to me? If I'm selling the product, what does it mean to me? The intuition. What's the intuition here? We got 0.66, which means that it's less than 1. When it's less than 1, we remember I told you types of elasticity. If it's less than 1, it means what? It's inelastic. When it's less than 1, it means that the product is what? Inelastic. Inelastic means that the commodity is the demand. Let me put it. The demand for the commodity in other words, the demand for Uncle Sam Rice, Uncle Sam, yeah, that's Sam. Uncle Sam Rice is slightly responsive in other words, the demand for Uncle Sam Rice is slightly responsive to changes in other words, the demand for Uncle Sam Rice is slightly responsive to changes in price. That is, the demand for Uncle Sam Rice is slightly responsive to changes in price. What does it mean? It means that the commodity is slightly responsive to changes in price, meaning that even if I'm selling the product and I increase the price, maybe the price was 6, I take it to maybe take 6 cedis, right? Let's say 6 cedis. Then increase the price to maybe 8 cedis. Only few people will stop buying. Still, you have people buying. Those who stop buying will be very few. Yes, so you have your customers buying the product. Meaning that if I sell that product and if I increase the price, only few people stop buying. A lot of people will keep on buying the product. And I'll make my money. That's what it means. So if I'm pricing, I know how to price it. Maybe the product is, maybe people have developed addiction for those products. So even if the price goes up, they still buy it. Like in Ghana, for instance, don't even go far. Foreign rice, Ghanaians like foreign rice, and a lot of Ghanaians don't like local rice. Ghanaians are not like Nigerians who like local rice. Ghanaians doesn't like, even the poorest person doesn't want to eat. The poorest person doesn't even want to eat local rice. They want foreign rice. Even though local rice is very cheap, foreign rice are very expensive. Yes, still people demand it. Why? The demand for foreign rice is inelastic. Changes in price, if the price even goes up, it doesn't deter them from not consuming the product. Only few people will stop buying, and they keep on buying the product so that you make your money. So if I'm a businessman and I get this information, it should guide you when it comes to taking decisions in pricing and when it comes to incidents of taxation and all those, it should help you do a very good job. So this is the approach being used was the point elasticity approach. The approach we use, we're going to use the same thing by using the arc elasticity approach to solve the same question without changing anything. So let's see. So let's see. So you're going to use the arc elasticity. The arc elasticity. What's the formula? The formula is change in Q by change in P times initial price, or you can say initial price plus initial plus new price, or new price plus initial price is the same thing, because addition is competitive. Divided by 2. Here the new quantity plus the initial quantity is divided by 2, right? So whatever, you can decide to bring the initial here, the new here, or the new here, the initial, the quantity there. Let's see, what's the change? What's the change? The change in Q, as we all know, we have already said, is the new minus the initial. We have said it already. What's the new quantity? The new quantity is what? 30. And the initial quantity is what? 45. The same thing. That gives you negative what? 15. What about the change in price? The change in price is the new price plus the initial price. What's the new price? The new price is what? 30. The initial price is what? 20. 10, right? So let's put it there. So if you bring it, if you want to put it in the formula, so let's just, okay, change in Q is negative 15. Change in price is what? 10. Change in quantity is negative 15. Change in what is price 10. So change in quantity is what? Negative 15. And change in price is what? 10. The new price is what? 30. The initial price is what? 20. Divided by 2. What's the new quantity? 30. What's the initial quantity? 45. Okay, so you can still break it down. Let's see, new over this. 20 plus 30 divided 20 plus 30 give you 50 divided by 2 for 25. That's 25. 30 plus 45 give you 75. Divided by 2 give you 7.5, right? So what do you have here? What we have here is that you can have a situation. You see that 5 goes here 3. 5 goes here what? 2. right? And then when you use a calculator to do, it's supposed to give you -1, right? And I think we did the estimation so that it's -1. So you can give you -1, right? So if you do that, you're going to get something around -1. No, this goes here, 5 goes here 3 times. 5 will go here 3 times, 5 will go here 2 times, right? And then when you do it, you're going to get something approximately to -1. So I've told you that always, when you do elasticity of demand, you get negative. So you have to find the absolute. Let's find the absolute. The absolute is equal to, that gives you +1. What does it mean? It means that the product is what? Unitary elastic. It's what? Unitary. The demand for the product is the demand for the product is unitary what? Elastic. Right? So the demand for the product is what? Unitary what? Elastic. So you see that when you use the point elasticity approach and use the point, the arc and the point, you get different answers, right? Yes, of course, you get different answers. You'll not be the same. But the most important thing is that in most WASI questions, they let you use the point elasticity, right? So that's that, just to clear our minds. So we are done with the price elasticity. I told you that when you take elasticity of demand, we have 3 types, right? We have 3 types. The taxonomy is 3. We are done with the price elasticity. We are not doing the income elasticity. So let's get the income elasticity. It measures the degree of responsiveness of changes in quantity demand as a result of changes in the income of the consumer. So here the emphasis is that if your income changes, what would be the percentage change in the quantity you demand? Right? If I'm buying maybe wheat, right? If my income have increased by 30%, to what extent will it affect my demand? Will it change my demand by 20%? Will it change my demand by 50% or 60%? So the concept is still the same. We said almost the same narrative about price elasticity, but here we're not talking about price, we're talking about income. What is causing the change in the quantity demand is come from the perspective of income, right? So it comes from the angle of income. That's why I say it's income elasticity. So you're looking at how income, whenever your income changes, how does it have a very key role, play a very momentous role to change the percent of quantity of goods you buy over the period. And that's the whole idea of income elasticity. Very simple. So let's get some of the types of income elasticity. We have types of income elasticity of demand. Number 1, positive income elasticity of demand. This is a situation where the demand for a commodity rises with the rise or increase in the consumer's income and declines with a decline in the consumer's income. Example is our normal goods. So any commodity, when your income goes up, you buy more. When your income falls, you buy less. Has a positive income elasticity. And most goods are normal goods. I've told you already in the lesson 7 that any commodity, whenever your income goes up, you want to buy more, that commodity is a normal good. So there's no taxonomy, there's no classification about which commodities are normal good, which commodities are inferior good. No, it depends on you. If your income increase, what will be your response or reaction to some of these things, the things you buy on the market, right? So positive income is whenever your income increases, you buy more. When income decreases, you don't have money to buy more, so you reduce your consumption. Negative income elasticity of demand. This is a situation where the demand for income for commodity decreases when there is a rise in consumers' income and there's an increases with a fall in the consumer's income. So here we are talking about where the consumer, when the income increases, he buys less. And whenever the income falls, he buys more. And these goods are inferior goods. You see that is a consumer shift their consumption from, for example, consumer shift is consumption from wheat, from millet to wheat, when the consumer's income increases. So any commodity that behave that way, when your income increases, you think now I have money, the goods is the inferior good. Let me go and buy the normal good. Okay, maybe I used to eat here. Trouble, they were paying 2 cedis because maybe I didn't like the food, but that's what my money could afford. So I was managing. Now I've gotten a good job. I can go to a good restaurant like Papaya. I can go to a good restaurant anywhere, and I'll enjoy myself. Then what happens to me that I will stop eating at that chop bar and go to the restaurant, maybe KFC or wherever you want to find yourself, right? So such goods are inferior goods. So there is no. I've already said it that there's no goods that you can say that this is a normal good, it's inferior good. It depends on you, your reaction to that product. Whenever your income increases, it might differ. So you can't box goods that these goods are normal good, these goods are inferior good. That would be very, very misleading. Zero income elasticity of demand. This is a situation where changes in the income of the consumer has no effect on the demand of a particular product. Example, David's income increased from 1,200 to 5,000. He did not consume any quantity of alcohol, right? So when a product, sometimes goods have zero income elasticity. Why? If even you're a billionaire, if you're George Soros, you're Michael Paulson, you're Larry Ellison, you're Elon Musk, and those people, Michael Bells and Tedder and all those. If you're even the richest man, like one of them, there's some product you will never buy. You don't like it. So if they pay you and become richer, the richest person in the world, there's some things you don't buy. I know that there are some things Bill Gates doesn't buy, Warren Buffett does not buy. There's some things they don't like them. Not because they cannot afford, because it's something maybe it's against their culture, it's against maybe their spirit, it's against their ideology, it's against their health. It can be something else. So these goods are zero income elasticity of demand. So one of the things we're going to understand, what is the relevance of the income elasticity of estimate? What's the relevance? I think we don't want to make it like just a rhetorical flourish. We do it in class and it doesn't have any patently, it doesn't have any practical evidence on the field. We don't want to believe in that trajectory. So we want to find out what's the relevance. Is it a classroom exercise or is something that goes on in the real world? Number one, investment decisions. Businessmen use the concept to guide their investment decisions. They channel their investment into the production of a product, their demand increases when there is upward adjustment in their incomes. Starting in 2014, demand for nickel in Croatia increased by 25.8% when the minimum wage increased by 5.4%. So investment decisions too. So if I'm an investor and we invest, one of the things I'll look for commodities that have normal goods. So that when I hear that incomes is going up, employers are paying their workers very high, but the government is going to increase minimum wage. I'm convinced that people buy my product. So any person in the right sense who is serious to do a business will identify goods that are normal goods, goods that are inferior goods, so that whenever he hears that income increases, the minimum wage is going to increase or private company are going to increase their workers' salary, he is assured that the consumption of his product is going to be high. And that's what it's supposed to be. There is a way of trying to show your agility to understand how the market works very perfectly, right? As you saw in Croatia in 2014, the demand for nickel increased by, nickel is a metal, right? The demand for nickel increased by 2.5% when the minimum wage increased by 15.4%. It's a classical case. To classifying product, the concept of income elasticity of demand is used to classify product into normal good and inferior good. Producers' knowledge on this classification will guide them in their production of these products whenever there is an increase in income. The concept is very important. Without this concept, if I'm a producer, I will never know that the goods are normal goods, goods are inferior goods. Just wrap your mind around it. Without this explanation, you will not be able to fathom that this good is normal good, this good is inferior good. It will be very difficult for you to do that. But at least it's an eye opener. It will be able to deepen your escalatory understanding and deepen your questions to understand that indeed there are goods that are normal good, goods that are inferior good. Right? Three, guys, government taxation. Government's knowledge in this concept is relevant for taxation. Government will find it appropriate to impose higher taxes on normal goods than inferior goods. This is because when people's income increases over the period, they buy more of a normal good. So government is also very important for government. If government says, oh, these goods are normal good, these are goods are inferior good. If I want to impose any income tax or something else, if I want to impose any tax, whether sales tax or income tax, direct tax, indirect tax, it should guide you in the taxation. Maybe you might decide to take more from a good that is a normal good to consumers, take more taxes, and take less taxes from goods that are what? Inferior goods, because inferior goods are mostly consumed by lower income earners, right? Lower income earners consume inferior goods, right? In that case, government can use that, can leverage on that to do a very good taxation to make that needed profit. Revenue that the government needs. For adjustment in minimum wage. When the government discovers that the citizens demand more of local product and these local products are normal goods to the citizen, the government can increase the minimum wage to propel domestic consumption, production, and creation of employment. That's a very good thing. If government discovers that the consumption pattern of the citizenry is more of a domestic product, and again there is more of a domestic product, and again there's a need to create a job, there's a need to protect their business, government will make sure that, hey, yes, there are this number of goods. Yeah, we have seen that in our country, citizens demand more of domestic product, and the goods they demand to are normal goods. So what will they do? We will find a way of pumping more money into the economy. They get access to it. They can give more loans. People will rush to bank for loans, and all those things can be leveraged on to help increase what we want to achieve. So we see that another one importance of the income elasticity estimate is for the suppliers of raw materials. Producers of raw materials for normal goods will put in the right measures to increase their production whenever they hear there is going to be an increase in minimum wage. In Nicaragua in 2006, producers of sorghum increased their production by 12.7% when the government increased the minimum wage by 17.7%. So the point is that it's not only for those who are producing alone, it's not only for the government to, what about those who are supplying those raw materials? So if I'm supplying a raw material for commodity that has a normal good, and I've heard that the government is putting all the instrumentalities together to increase the minimum wage. What do I expect? I expect that indeed there's going to be an increase in minimum wage, and it's going to help potentiate the level of consumption of that product. And I expect that we can leverage on that, so they will increase their raw materials they supply. So let's look at the calculation. So in Nicaragua, for instance, we saw in 2006 that those producers who produce sorghum increased their production by 12.7% when the government increased the minimum wage by 70.7%. So that's that. You're looking at the formula for estimating income elasticity of demand. What's the formula for estimating income elasticity of demand? It's not different from the price elasticity of demand, right? Just some few adjustments. Income elasticity of demand is equal to percentage change in quantity demand over percentage change in income. So to get income elasticity of demand is equal to percentage change in quantity demand divided by percentage change in income. So it's almost the same thing you know about by this time around. You're not saying price, you're saying income. That's a new thing. But the things are almost the same, virtually. So let's look at here. We can simplify this as change in Y. Here, you use the EY, representing income. When we're doing price elasticity of demand, we use ED, representing price elasticity of demand. We use Y. Y means income elasticity of demand. It's called a change in Q. What is change in Q? Change in Q, as you already know, is the change in quantity demand. The change in quantity demand is called the new demand minus the initial demand, right? So the same thing you knew about price elasticity is almost the same narrative. So here, it can be simplified as EY. The EY represents elasticity of income. EY, let me put this here. EY represents income elasticity of demand. You are represent income elasticity of demand, right? So change in Q is a change in quantity demand. And change in quantity demand is the new minus the initial. The QN is the new quantity demand. The QI is the initial quantity demand. What about change in Y? Delta Y represents a change in income. What's the change in income? It's the new income minus the initial income, right? So delta Y is the change in income, and that can be expressed mathematically as Yn minus Yi. where the yn is the new income, the yi is the initial income. And this one, the interpretation is a little bit different from the price elasticity of demand. You can get positive or you can get negative, right? If you get positive, it means, if you get negative, let me start from here, it means that it's an inferior good. As already I said about the types of income elasticity. If you get negative, it means it's an inferior good. If you get positive, it means it's a normal good. And if you get positive, is it greater than 1? If you get positive and it's greater than 1, it's a normal good, but it's a luxury. Right? That means it's a normal good, but it's a luxury. But if you get between 0 and 1, that means a normal good, but it's a necessity. So with the income elasticity of demand, you can either get positive or negative, right? When you get negative, it means that it's an inferior good, as you can see here. If you get positive, it means it's a normal good. If you get positive and it's greater than 1, it means it's a normal good, but it's a luxury. If you get positive, but it's between 0 and 1, it means what? It's a necessity. So this is just the entire formula for the income elasticity. You try to get example where we try and hands-on to understand these things better. So you want to take this example and try and hands on it, as we did for the price elasticity. An Obia income increase from 100 cedis to 200 cedis. Her demand for Brazilian hair increased from 4 units to 6 units. Calculate her income elasticity of demand for Brazilian hair and interpret. So we see, what are we looking at? We're looking at a woman called Anobia. Her income was 100, it moved to 200, right? And he was buying Brazilian hair. And the hair is now, it was buying 4, and because the income had increased, now he's buying 6. You're supposed to calculate her income elasticity of demand for Brazilian hair and interpret. So let's do this. It's a very simple one. Let's do it so that we can move on. So first, your formula. So the formula is that the income elasticity of demand is equal to change in quantity demand over change in income times initial income over initial quantity, right? As we said it, so these things are very easy. You should be able to keep this here. What is change in Q? We said that it's the new quantity minus the initial quantity. What is the new quantity? The new quantity, from the question, she was buying 4, now she's buying 6. So the new quantity is 6. And the whole quantity is what? 4. So that gives you a finance of 2. What about the change in price? The change in income, sorry. Change in income is equal to new income minus what? Initial income. What was her income? The income was, the new income is what? First was taking 100, now it's taking what? 200. Before that, it was taking what? 100, right? So we can go and fix it in our formula. A very simple example. Change in Q is what? 2. Change in this is what? 100. What about the initial income? What about the initial quantity? 4. 100 cancel 100. So the initial, let's see, the initial change in quantity is 2. Change in Y is 100. What's the initial income? 100. What is the initial output? 4. If you cancel, 100 will cancel. So what do you have? You have 2 over 4. 1 will go here, 1 will go here, 2. That's equal to 0.5. Right? That's equal to 0.5. And again, if 0 is going to 0.5, okay, and I told you that with the income elasticity, right, can I either get positive or negative, right? So it's not like in the case of price elasticity, always you get negative. Then you make it absolute before you can interpret. No, yeah, that's not a narrative. It can be positive, it can be negative. So what do we say? Is it normal good or is it inferior good? It is what? It's positive. If it's positive, it's what? It is a normal good. Interpretation here. Alright? It means that the product is what? The product is a normal good. The product means that the product is a normal good. Normal good to an object. Okay, and we say that if it's positive, it's a normal good. Is it a necessity or is it a luxury? Is it a necessity or is it a luxury? See that it is 0.5. If it's 0.5, it means that it's between 0. If it's between 0. If it's between 0 and 0.5, right? If it's between 0 and 1, it means that it's a necessity. So even though the good is a normal good to an object, that good is a necessity, right? The product is a necessity or an object. It's a normal good, it's a necessity. So that's very simple for you. So that's the, we have three types. We have done the price elasticity, we have done the income elasticity, we're going to cross elasticity. After that, then we're going to look at the cross elasticity of demand. And then we move on to a data response, right? So we said that if you look at this table, right, we say an object was taking what? 100, now it's taking 200. So her new income is 200, her old income is 100. So the change in income is 100. She was buying a product, she was buying Brazilian hair 4 units, now she's buying 6 units. So the new unit is 6, the old one is 4, if you subtract, is 2 units. So if you put in the formula, the change in quantity is 2, change in income is 100, initial income was 100 before it increased to 200, initial quantity was 4. So if you put it in a form, you're going to get something like, you're going to get income elasticity of 0.5, which means that once it's positive, you know that whenever income elasticity, when you get positive, it's a normal good. So it means that the product is a normal good. Aside that it's a normal good too, the elasticity is between 0 and 1. If it's between 0 and 1, we say that it's a normal good. If it's above 1, we see it's a luxury. So it's a very simple one. Try and go through it yourself. This is not a data response question, right? The data response question will come after. That's the tail end of the lesson. So just follow up. So we are done with price elasticity of demand. We have done with income elasticity of demand. The last one we're looking at under elasticity of demand is cross elasticity of demand. Cross elasticity of demand. Let's see what we have here. It means that it is a degree of responsiveness of changes in quantity demanded of one commodity as a result of changes in the price of another commodity. So what are we looking at? We're looking at it's a cross. When something is crossed, what do I mean? There's two separate things. So you're looking at how does a change in the price of X affect the demand for Y? In other words, how does the demand for Y, what's the degree, to what extent does the demand for Y respond to changes in the price of X? Right? So we're looking at the degree or the extent to which your demand for commodity Y responds to changes in commodity X. And these are very, just you can use any example, right? It's not by force to use X and Y, you can use something else. M and G, S and O, whatever. So what we're looking at, to what extent, to what degree does the quantity of one commodity respond to changes in the price of another commodity? So we're looking at like the price of related commodity. And that one, we're looking at that from the income, we're looking at from the cross elasticity of in demand. So look at the types. One, we have the positive price elasticity. This is a situation where the price of a commodity X increases. The price of commodity X increases. The demand for commodity Y increases, which means commodities are substitutes. So here, what do you see? When the price of commodity X increases, when the price of commodity X increases, let's get something. When the price, let's say commodity X, if the price increases, it means that people will not buy more commodity X. So if the price increases, demand falls. Okay? So if the goods behave that way, they are what? Yeah. If the price of commodity X goes up, if demand will fall. If demand falls, they will go and buy commodity Y. Assuming they are the only two on the market. If the price of X goes up, when the price of X goes up, there will be a fall in the demand for X product. That means that people who are doing financial market, people who loan, they will take the money and give it a loan in the international market, right? So we are going to have a situation where we have a substitute. When the change in the price of one commodity results in a change in quantity demand of another commodity, we say that what? It's a substitute. Negative cross elasticity of demand. This is a situation where the price of one commodity increases, this is a situation where the price of commodity increases, the product X decreases. So that if the price of X increases, the price of X increases, we know demand will fall, right? So Y, if the price remains the same, once price are falling, you can also decide to maybe leave. Maybe the standard of living, if the standard of living is not good here, the person can leave, go and settle in another region. Maybe there are other opportunities in other regions, right? So if it is above, there's some. So if it's above some level, some people step in to pay and all those things. And there's a need to know the threshold for some of these things, whether it's greater than 1, it's less than 1, and when do you act and where you don't need to act. So here we see that the products are complements. So we have what we call unrelated cross-price elasticity of demand. Commodities that are not related have cross-elasticity of demand, which is equal to 0. This means that the price of commodity X can increase by 100%, but it will not have any effect on the quantity demand of commodity Y. So if goods that are not related, some goods are not related, right? We know we have substitute and complement, but some goods are not related. The price of pen going up will not have any effect on the price of palm oil. They are not related, right? These are not related. Shoes and palm kernel, shoes and maybe vegetable is not related, unless the goods are related. If they are not related, a cross elasticity is equal to 0. What is the usefulness of cross-price elasticity? What's the usefulness of cross-price elasticity? Pricing policy. Producers knowing products related to them will guide them in pricing of their product. Producers will be aware of substitutes and complements of their product. Statistics. The price of 4-bedroom house among real estate companies in Ghana is almost the same, $200,000 as of 2020, because they are substitutes. So when people are producing, right, and they know, it guides you in your price. They are substitutes. These are the substitutes and the complements. So it guides you how to price so that you don't be out of business. So these are very computers, a very quite rudimental principle when it comes to doing business. Cutting down importation of substitutes. When the government identifies that some imported products have close substitute in a country, government will impose higher taxes on these foreign products to cut down its consumption in order to increase domestic production. In 2004, the government of Ecuador increased their tariff on imported textiles, to boost domestic production. The government can also look at products that are substitutes. If they are bringing some products that are substitutes, and already there are domestic production of those products already, government can use that to look for a means to impose higher tariff on these goods that are coming to help foment their importation. Because the government is okay, already these are substitutes. You have substitutes in the country that can do the same thing. Then what will I do? I'll impose tariff on these products so that it will help foment and cut down and attenuate the importation in the way of trying to potentiate the level of domestic production to produce that stimulus effect on the economy. Long-term planning of the firms. There are instances where firms want to reduce their cost of operation. They resort to merging to achieve that. Firms that want to merge should know whether their products have complement or substitute. Right? Example, merging of Airtel Tigo telecommunication in Ghana. So if companies should also, if for planning, if the company one day wants to merge, okay, we know our substitute. Those companies that produce our substitute, we can merge with them. Or the company wants to take over. Taking over a company, maybe we know those who are complements. We can take over companies that are complements. So it helps you in your long-term decisions, right? When it comes to merging, you merge with companies that produce your substitute. If there's a need to cut down a lot of cost of production, as in Ghana, Airtel Tigo, I think about 5 years ago they merged, right? Telecommunication industry, so that they will cut down their cost of operation, right? Also, some company may want to take over. If you want to take over, maybe they are your complements. You produce your complement. Maybe you want to take over your complement, so that you have both. You produce both your product and the complement together to take over the market. And these are very key issues any businessman will try to efficaciously in a factory to achieve that. Investment decisions. Private investors that want to invest in the production of a product, the concept will help the investors to know the existing product that are substitute or complement. This will guide the investors' decision of the private investment. The investment of $840 million by Newmont's company, mining company in Ghana in 2022. So one of the things, the investment decision. If I want to invest, I should know the number of substitutes in the country. I should know the number of complements, so that I'll know how to channel my synergies and my investment. But these are key prudent. They are very prudent for economic decisions and sustainability, even to stay in business, right? And any businessman who is a very luminary in business will want to have knowledge in all these areas before that. So that's one of the things. That's the importance of knowing that. Let's look at the formula. The formula, as we have done for all, what is the formula for? Formula here, because we are dealing with two products, we are assuming two products. We are assuming commodity Y and X. So the cross elasticity of demand is equal to percentage change in quantity demand of commodity Y. You can use any commodity you want. We are using commodity Y, and the percentage change in the price of Y, commodity X. So here we are looking at two commodities. How a change in the price of X will affect the quantity demanded of commodity Y, right? So the formula becomes the cross elasticity between X and Y. Why the X and Y? Because we are looking at X and Y. You can use Q and Z, X and T, whatever you want. So change in quantity demand of commodity Y over change in the price of commodity X times initial price of commodity X by initial quantity demand of commodity Y, right? So the cross elasticity between commodity X and Y is equal to change in quantity of commodity Y, change in the price of commodity X. It can be vice versa, whatever you want to do it, depending on how the question was formed. Times the initial price of commodity X, times the initial demand of commodity Y. The change delta QY is equal to change in quantity demanded of commodity Y, which is equal to delta QY is equal to QYN. What is QIN? The new quantity demanded of commodity Y. What is QYI? The initial quantity demanded of commodity Y. And we have here the delta PX, change in the price of commodity X, which is equal to delta PX is equal to PXN minus PXI. PXN is the new price of commodity X, and the XI is the initial price of commodity X. So this is not any difficult. The only thing you are doing here is that Here you're looking at two separate commodities. The difference between price elasticity and the cross elasticity is that cross elasticity, you're looking at two separate commodities. With price elasticity, you're looking at the same commodity, right? In other books, they say that cross price elasticity. That's how they say in other books. Cross price elasticity. The same thing. In other books, they say price elasticity or own price elasticity is almost the same narrative, right? So let me say this. In other books, instead of saying price elasticity, they say own price elasticity. In other books, instead of saying cross elasticity, they say cross price elasticity. It's the same narrative, right? So the difference between price elasticity of demand and cross elasticity of demand is that the price elasticity of demand, you're looking at how the demand of a commodity responds to the changes in the price of the same commodity. The cross elasticity of demand, you're looking at how the change in demand of a different commodity responds to changes in the price of different commodity. That's why we say they are cross. So I want us to take a very illustration on this, example on this, as we have done for price elasticity, the cross elasticity. We're going to do that. Then you take our data response question. So let's look at this question. This is not the data response. This is just a question to explain the cross elasticity, right? In economy, price of margarine increased from 20 cedis, right? From 20 cedis to 30 cedis. From 20 to 30 cedis. The quantity demand of butter increased from 40 tins to 60 tins. Calculate the cross elasticity of demand are the commodity substitute or complement. What are we saying? We have seen how many products? Two products. Margarine and what? Butter. The price of what? Margarine increased from where? 20 to 30. And the quantity demanded, so is the price of what? Margarine. And the quantity demanded of what? Butter. The quantity demanded of butter also increased from 40 tins to 60 tins. Calculate their cross elasticity of demand and the commodity substitute or complement. So we are looking at how did the change in the price of margarine affected the quantity demand of butter, right? So two products, margarine and butter. It tells you that it's cross, two separate products. If it's a price elasticity of demand, it will be the same product. Margarine, the price of margarine, the quantity demanded of margarine, or the price of butter, the quantity demanded of butter. But this one is cross. So let's get something. So first, the change in price of margarine. So let's see what's the new price. The new price. So the change, we know that the change in price of margarine is equal to change in price of margarine is equal to the new price minus the old price. What is the new price? The new price is what? 30. The old price is what? 20. What do we have? 10. Very simple. What about the change in what? The change in the quantity demanded. So you have change in quantity demand of what? Change in quantity demand. Of butter. So what that will be change. That will be the new quantity minus initial quantity. What's the new quantity? The new quantity is what? 60 from 40 to 60, and the initial one is what? 60. Initial one is 40. So the new one is 60, the initial one is what? 40. So when you get to what? 20, right? So when you come to the formula, change in MB, M for margarine, B for butter, is equal to change in the quantity demanded of butter divided by change in the price of what? Margarine times initial price of margarine divided by initial quantity of what? Butter. So it's almost the same formula as you've been doing, only that now you're adding margarine and butter, like the price elasticity. It's almost the same thing. Only that now you have to identify which product experience the change in price. You have to identify which product experience change in quantity demand. That's the two things you have to know, so that you know how to give the subscript, the signs. Which product experience change in price, which product experience change in quantity. You have to just identify them, and that will be all. So what is the change? The change in quantity is what? 20. The change in price is what? 10. What's the initial price? Initial price is what? 20. The initial price was 20. It moved to what? 30. What's the initial quantity demanded? Was 40. It moved to 60. The initial quantity is what? 40. So the cross value of MP be what? So this one will cancel this. 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 So you have 4 times 4. So 4 over 4 will give you 1. So that the cross elasticity of demand is equal to what? 1. So we have to interpret. So it's equal to what? 1. With cross elasticity, if you get interpretation, when you get positive results means they are substitute. When you get negative results means they are complement. Right, so the interpretation, if you get positive means the commodities are substitutes. If you get negative means they are complement. So here what do you have? We have positive means that interpretation means that margarine and butter are substitutes. Margarine and butter are substitutes. So let me just run it through another time, a minute. In an economy, the price of margarine increased from 20 cedis to 30 cedis. The quantity demanded of butter increased from 40 tins to 60 tins. Calculate the cross elasticity of demand. Are the commodity substitutes or complement? So here, you're talking about margarine and butter. So you have to identify which commodities. There are two, margarine and butter. Which commodity experience a change in price? The change in price is in what? In margarine. Right? So change in price equal to the new price minus the initial price. What's the new price? 30. What's the old price? 20. So change is what? 10. What? Butter experience the change in what? Demand. So the change in quantity demand for butter is equal to change in QB is equal to QN and QY. What is QN? The new quantity is 60. The old quantity is 40. So we have what? 20. So if you come to the formula, the cross elasticity between M and B, or you've got the B and M, fine, it's the same thing. That's change in the quantity of butter, because the butter experienced a change in quantity. Over change in the price of margarine, because the change in price happened in margarine. If the question was the other way around, you would change it. But that's how the question. It can be anything else, right? Times initial price of butter, margarine, times initial quantity of butter, right? Times the initial price of margarine, times the initial divided by initial price of what? Butter. So if you put it there, the change in quantity is 20, the change in price is 10, the initial price is 20, the initial quantity is 40. So when you put it together, you're going to get 1, right? Interpretation. With cross elasticity, or somebody say cross price elasticity, is the same thing. If you get positive, they are substitute. If you get negative, they are complement. So here, margarine and butter are substitute. So that is just one. This is not just the data response anyway. This is just an illustration to help you understand the formula. In this tutorial, we're going to look at, in this video, we're going to look at data response question on price elasticity of demand. Right? It's a question was in May, June 2017. But if you want the full tutorials, we have done the full lecture, the analysis and statistics, everything. If you visit our website, www.steepcons.com, we have everything there for you. Aside that, we have our first set of videos, 18 videos there for you. We have 18 videos. You have topics like national income accounting, balance of payment, international trade. We have distributive trade, agriculture, industrialization. We have topics. We have topics like international trade, economic growth, foreign direct investment, economic integration, and all those things there for you. We have done analysis, statistics, data response, track when you have done it for you. When you visit our website, you get all the 18 topics for yourself. You just have to pay an affordable rate. Then you sign up. Once you sign up, anytime you can sign up without paying any money again, since the rest of your life. If you don't like that too, we have on the pen drive. The pen drive can be used on your phone, can be used on your laptop. So once you have the pen drive, it can help you wherever you're traveling in long journey. Before you get to a destination, you have to listen to something. So get these things for yourself. So let's see what we have here. So you're looking at data response was in May, June 2027. The table shows the demand schedule of commodity X, Y, and Z. Study the table carefully and answer the questions that follow. The direction of the arrow shows that both rise and falls in prices. So what are we looking at? We're looking at how many commodities X, Y, Z, right? And we're looking at it's a schedule, it's a demand schedule. The commodities are here, X, Y, Z. We have the price here. Let's see what we have here. The price of X decreased from 20 to 12, right? And the demand increased from 40 to 60. There was an increment because the price have reduced, right? If we come to Y, the price was 20, it moved to 24. And therefore it have reduced aggregate demand to 40. Before the aggregate demand was 50, and the demand is about 40. What about Z? Z, the price was 20. Z, the price was 20, and now it moved to 22, right? 20, now it moved to what? 22. And the quantity demand also decreased from 50 to 40 units. So you have seen this distribution of commodity X, Y, and Z. So let's say the question we have here, question 1, calculate the price elasticity of demand for commodity X, 4 marks, commodity Y, 4 marks, Z, 4 marks. Interpret your answer in I. So A, what does he expect from us? He expects us to calculate the price elasticity of demand for commodity X, commodity Y, and commodity Z. 4 marks each. B, we are supposed to interpret our answers in I, and I for 1 mark each. C, we are supposed to explain 2 factors that determine price elasticity of demand of a commodity. That's 5 marks. So you have these questions for you or grab. You have 20 marks for you to grab them. And you see that just for commodity X, Y, and Z, so that you deal justice with that. So let's see. A, you're supposed to calculate the price elasticity of demand for commodity X. So let's say A, price elasticity of demand for commodity X. So let's look at the formula. There are 2 formulas you're going to use here, right? The first formula you're going to look at, price elasticity of demand is equal to change in quantity demand. Change in quantity demand, okay, about change in price, of commodity X times initial price over initial quantity, right? This is the first approach. So let's use this approach to solve for commodity X. After that, we take the second approach. There's two approaches, right? I want to show you all the two approaches. So I'll take the first approach and do for commodity X. So which commodity are we doing? Commodity, this I. Commodity what? X. So I'm going to use the first approach to do for commodity X. When I finish, I use the second approach to do for commodity X again. Take commodity Y, use the first approach, second approach, commodity X, first approach, second approach, and we go on, right? So the first approach, the change in quantity demanded is equal to the new demand minus what? Initial demand, right? And the change in price is equal to the new price minus what? Initial price. So let's go to our table here. Let's see what we have here. First, let's get the price. The price was 20 and reduced to what? 12, right? So 20 to 12. So the new price is 12. The initial price was what? 20. So it gives you what? Negative 8, right? Okay, you can put it here, negative 8. So the price was at 20 and reduced to 12, right? So if you look at that logic, you can see that the new price is 12, the old price is 20, right? What about the quantity? The quantity was at 50 and now it's 60. So the new quantity is 60, the old quantity is what? 50. So what do you have here? The new is 60, the old is 50, and give what? 10 units, right? So if you have this, what do you have here? We go to our formula, we put this inside. Elasticity of demand is equal to change in demand. What's the change? 10. What's the change in price? Negative 8. What's the initial price? 20. What is the initial? What is the initial price? 20. What's the initial demand? Initial demand is what? 50. So initial price is 20. Initial demand is that. So what do you have here? If you use your calculator and punch, so you know that some zeros can cancel. Or if you want to make life easy for yourself, you can use your calculator to punch the numerator, punch the denominator, and divide without even worry yourself. If you do that, you're going to get your final answer at negative 0.5, right? Negative 0.5. Negative 0.5. If you do that, or if you put this thing here, you're going to have 10 over that. You're going to have that. So you're going to have that one for yourself. So if this cancel that, this cancel that, you're going to have 20 divided by 40. That'll give you negative 25. So that's the answer. It's 4 marks, right? It's 4 marks. Let's see. 1 mark for the final answer. 1 mark for here, right? And I told you that with elasticity, always, with price elasticity of demand, always you get negative. So you have to take the absolute. So if you take the absolute, it's going to be 0.5. We are doing that so that we use that to interpret, right? We will interpret in B, so this will give you 1 mark. Right? We have 1 mark for here, 1 mark for here. We have, let's see, another 1 mark, 2 marks more, 2 marks more. I guess, I suspect it's here, 1 mark for here. Another 1 mark for the formula, right? The formula, another 1 mark for here. Right? So 1 mark here, 1 mark here, 1 mark here, 1 mark there. You get 4 marks. So let's just do a quick wrap up. We want elasticity of demand. The first thing is to write your formula for commodity what? X. What's the elasticity of demand of commodity X? Change in quantity demanded of commodity X divided by change in price times initial price times initial demand. What's the change in quantity demand? It's the new minus what? The initial. From the question, the new quantity is 60, the old one is 50. If you subtract, get 10. What about price? Price, the new price is 12, the old price is 20 from the question, right? You get negative 8. So when you finish, come and put in a function. Change in quantity is 10, change in price is 8. What's the initial price? Initial price is 20, initial quantity is 50. If you punch 8 to your calculator, you're going to get 0.5. When you take the absolute, anytime I said that with price plus of demand, always you get negative. Always you get negative because there's a negative relationship between price and quantity demand. And therefore, for you successfully to make any good, meaningful analysis, you have to take the absolute. When you take the absolute, taking absolute means that make the figure positive. Why? So that you can interpret. If you don't do that, if you don't take the absolute, you cannot interpret. Why can't you interpret? All your answers will be negative. So you end up saying that they are all less than 1. They are all less than 1. All less than 1. Mean that all the commodities you compute will be inelastic, but they will be all less than 1. So if you want to do a very good analysis, you have to take away the negative so that now that you have only the answers are positive, you can tell us whether it's less than 1 or greater than 1, right? That's the narrative. So we have this one for you. So that's one. This first formula, let me also take you through the second formula too for solving the same thing. A second approach, in case you want that too. I will prefer this anyway, but let me teach you the alternative approach. If you like that one, it's up to you. So let's look at the alternative approach or alternative approach. What's the alternative approach? Elasticity of demand is equal to percentage change in quantity demand over percentage change in price. So it's the same, another way of saying the same thing what they said. We're going to find out percentage change in quantity demand divided by percentage change in price. What's the percentage change in quantity demand? The percentage change in quantity demand, percentage change in quantity demand is equal to the new quantity minus the initial quantity divided by initial quantity times 100. Right? The top one, the change in quantity demand. How do we get that? The change in quantity demand is the new quantity minus the initial quantity divided by initial quantity times 100. From the question, you saw that the new quantity was what? 60. The old one was what? 50. Divided by the 50 times what? 100. So if you subtract, you're going to get 10 over 50 times 100. And what are you going to get? This one goes here. This one goes here. This one goes here. You're going to get what? 20%. Right? So the change in quantity demanded is what? 20%. So if you do this, you're going to get 1 mark. 1 mark for this. So that means the change in quantity demand is what? 20%. So let me take you through. You're going to do that for price too. With this approach, the formula is change in quantity demand divided by change in price. What is percentage change in quantity demand? Is the new quantity demand minus the initial quantity demand divided by initial quantity demand times 100. What's the new demand? The new demand is what? 60. As we read it from it. The old demand is 50 divided by 50 times 100. When you do that, you're going to get 20%. So that's so the change in quantity demand is what? 20% here. So if you do that, you're going to get 1 mark. Let's do that for price too. Let's do that for price. The percentage change in price, percentage change in price also is equal to the new price my initial price divided by initial price times what? 100. Percentage change in price is equal to the new price minus initial price divided by initial price times 100. What's the new price? The new price is what? 12. The initial one was 20 divided by what? 20 times what? 100. What do you have? Negative 8 divided by what? 20 times 100. And that give you what? That will give you negative 40%. If you use a calculator today, you're going to get negative 40. So the percentage change in price is negative 40. That's for price. This is for quantity. So what do we? Let's go through. Percentage change in price equals the new price minus initial price divided by initial price times 100. The new price is 12. The initial price is 20 divided by 20 times 100. What do we have here? Negative 8 divided by what? 20 times 100. What it gives? It gives what? Negative 40. And that will give you 1 mark. Okay? So you have this. So the next thing is to go back and put it. I think maybe I can use this space. Okay, let me clean. You have to go back and put these things back in the functions, right? That's what we have here. So if you go and put it back into the function, price elasticity of demand is equal to change in quantity demand is equal to what? 20%. Change in price is what? Negative 40%. If you do this, you're going to get 1 mark for substitution. Percentage, you cancel percentage. If you divide, you're going to get negative 0.5. Then you take, if you take the absolute, you're going to get, so whatever approach you use, you're going to get the same answer, right? So you just pick which one you are very comfortable with. So you get 4 marks. So percentage change in quantity demand divided by percent change in price gives 0.05. And if you find the absolute, you're going to 0.5, you get 1 mark. So you end up getting the same marks and the same answers if you wish, whatever you want to do. So you have this for you. So here the approach is that percentage change in quantity demand divided by percent change in price. We went to look for percentage change in quantity demand. We went to look for percent change in price. Then we divide it and we get negative 0.5. So the answer is what? For 0.5. And I told you that you have to take absolute. Because if you don't take absolute, always when you do price elasticity of demand, the answer is negative because of the negative relation between price and quantity demanded. So you take the absolute so that you can interpret. In B, you're going to interpret at B, right? So therefore, you have to take that into cognizance. So anytime you have to take the absolute value, when you take absolute, you get positive. So that you can now interpret. If you don't take the absolute, all your answers will be negative. So you end up saying that all goods are elasticity is less than 1, so all goods are inelastic, which might be a very powerful deception. So let's look at why. Let's go why. So we look at the same II for commodity Y. We're going to use the first approach. After I use the second approach, let's get the first approach. The first approach is elasticity of demand is equal to change in Q over QD over change in price times initial price times initial quantity demand. Right? So we know that change in quantity demand is the new quantity minus the initial or the old quantity. Change in price is equal to the new price minus initial price, right? So let's go to the table. From the table, let's start from price. Price was 20 and the increase was 24. So the new price is 24, the old price was 20, that gives you 4. But the price was 20, it increased to that. What about demand? Demand also was at 50, they are reduced to what? 40. So the new demand is 40, the old is what? 50, that gives you a negative what? 10. It was at 50, the price increased, then it reduced to 40. Does that give you negative 10? Right? So let's put it into a function. Elasticity of demand is equal to change in quantity demand is negative 10, but change in price times the initial price, which is 20, by initial quantity demanded, which is what? 50. You know, this one will cancel this. What do you have? We can use a calculator to do it straightforward. We're going to have 5 will go here 1, 5 will go here 2. You're going to have negative 4 divided by 4, which is equal to negative 1. Right? Then if you take the absolute, you're going to get what? 1 mark. So you get 1, right? So let's see how the marks was given. You have 1 mark, 1 mark for here, 1 mark for the final answer, 1 mark for here, 1 mark for here. So you get your 4 marks. Let me wrap you through again. We are using the first approach. The elasticity of demand for commodity Y is equal to change in quantity demanded by change in price times initial price and initial quantity demanded. What is the new demand? The new demand is 40, the old demand is 50, if it's a negative 10. What's the new price? The new price is 24, the old price is 20, if it's a you're going to get 4. So if you put it in a function, you're going to get change in quantity demanded, which is negative 10, change in price, which is 4, times the initial price 20, times initial demand 50. If you put it there, you're going to get negative 1. So what do you have here? We have 1 mark for here, 1 mark for here, 1 mark for here, 1 mark for that. You have your 4 marks. So you get elasticity equal to 1. Let's use the alternative approach to do it. What if we get the same answer? Alternative approach. Alternative method need that elasticity of demand is equal to percentage change in aggregate demand divided by percentage change in price. So to get percentage change in quantity demand, so percentage change Percentage change in quantity demand, percentage change in quantity demand is equal to the new quantity minus the initial quantity over the initial quantity times 100. So the new quantity, we know the new quantity now is 40. The old one is 50 divided by initial quantity, which is 50 times 100. If we do this, you're going to get negative 10 or 50 times 100. And the final answer is going to be, change quantity is going to be, this one will go here 1, this one will go here, this one will go here, so you get 20%. So the change in quantity demand, we're going to get negative 20%, right? So let me wrap you through, and this will give you 1 mark, right? Percentage change in quantity demand is equal to the initial demand, the new demand, minus the initial divided by quantity times 100. Because we know that the alternative approach to get price elasticity of demand is going to be percentage change in quantity demand divided by percentage change in what? Price. And to get percentage change in quantity demand is going to be the new quantity minus the initial quantity divided by the initial quantity times 100. What's the new quantity? 50. What's the initial quantity? The new quantity is 40. The new quantity is 40. The initial quantity is 50 divided by 50 times 100. You're going to get something like negative 20%. That gives you 1 mark. Let's do the same narrative for the change in price. The percentage change in price, percentage change in price is equal to the new price minus initial price divided by initial price times what? So the percentage change in price goes to the new price minus initial price divided by initial price times 100. What's the new price? The new price from the what we said was 24. Initial was 20 divided by the 20 times 100. That will give you. Now, so the new price, the new price is 24. The old price is 20 divided by 20 over that. So this will, if you subtract, you're going to 40 over 20 times 100. If you break it down, 4 go here, 4 go here, 5. If you're going to get 20%. So the change in price is what? 20%, right? So let's go over it again. Percentage change in price goes to the new price minus initial price times 100. What's the new price? 24. What's the initial price? 20 divided by the initial price 20 times 100. And if you see, we're going to get 20%. And this will give you what? 1 mark. One mark for that, 1 mark for that, right? Okay. So let's see. So now you're going to substitute, you're going to put them into the what we have there. Because we have the change, we have here negative 20%. Here we have 20%. So let's put it there. The elasticity of demand, percentage change in quantity demand, we got negative 20. Percentage change in price, we got about 20%, right? So substitution give you 1 mark. If you cancel it out, this will cancel that, this will cancel that, this will cancel that. You're going to get negative 1. If you find the absolute if you find the absolute value, we're going to get what? 1. So that this one give you another. So you have seen that Using the alternative approach, you get the same answer, right? Give you the same answer. So let's see what we have here. Alternative approach is that you find a percentage change in quantity demand or a percentage change in price. And we saw that percentage change in quantity demand, we got negative 20. Percentage change in price, we got 20%. So if you put it and subtract, you're going to get negative 1. Absolutely, if you find it, you're going to get 1. So 1 mark for that, 1 mark for that, and that. So that's 4 marks. So whether you use the first approach or second approach, you get the same answer. Let's do for the last commodity, Z. Still at A, I for commodity Z. What do you have? Price rise of demand is called a change in the quantity demand over change in price times initial price times initial quantity. And we know that the change in quantity demand is called the new demand, and initial change in price go to the new initial. So let's go there. Let's go to the table. Let's first go price. Price was 20. It moved to what? 22. So what's the new price? The new price is 22. The old price is 20. What do you get? If you subtract, you get 2. What about quantity demand? Quantity demand was 50. It moved to 40. So the new quantity demand is 40. The old one is 50. You get negative 10. So if you like, let's put it in a function. Quantity demand is equal to change in quantity demand, which is negative 10, by change in price, which is 2, times initial price, which is 20, and initial quantity demand, which is what? 50. Right? So the initial price is 20, initial quantity demand is 50. So we have this over the period. So if you break it down, you're supposed to get an answer of, if you use a calculator, multiply the top, multiply the down. If you multiply the top, you're going to get negative 200. Down, you're going to get 100, right? So that this one, you're going to get negative 20, negative 2, right? So if you take the absolute, it's going to give you a value of what? 2. So if you have 1 mark for your final answer, 1 mark for the substitution, 1 mark for here. I think 1 mark for here, 1 mark for the breakdown, and you have that, right? So let's go over it. Using the first approach, change in quantity demand, price elasticity of demand respect to commodity Y. It's called to change in quantity demand over change in price, times initial price, times initial quantity demand. What is the change in quantity demand? A change in quantity demand is the new quantity demand minus the initial. What's the new? 40. From the question 40, what's the initial? 50. Is when you subtract, get negative 10. What about change in price? The new price is 22. The old price is the new price is 22. The old price is 20. That gives you what? 2 marks. So that one, if you do this one, get 1 mark for here, for the whole of the year. When you put it in the function, change in quantity demand is negative 20. Change in price is 2. Times initial price. Initial price is what? 20. Initial quantity demand is what? 50. So if you put it there, you're going to get 1 mark. This one give you 1 mark. If you simplify the 1 mark, do another 1 mark, you find the absolute. So because anytime I tell you that you get negative. So if you calculate and you don't get negative, it's a sign to tell you that you are wrong. That's a clue. If I'm doing price elasticity of demand, I don't get negative. It tells me that I'm wrong. So I should even correct it before I leave the exam. So then you take the absolute and get 1. So you get 1 mark for that too. Right? Let's use the alternative approach to So the elasticity of demand is alternative approach, alternative method. The elasticity of demand with respect to commodity Z is equal to percentage change in quantity demand over percentage change in price so percentage change in quantity demand as we know already is the new demand minus the initial demand divided by initial demand times 100. The question, what is the new demand? The new demand is 40. The initial demand is 50. The initial demand divided by initial demand 50. So the new demand is 40. The initial demand is 50 from the question. And the initial time divided by initial demand. If you do it, we're going to get something around. So this one will give you negative 10. For 50 times 100. So if you do it, you're going to get negative 20%, right? And this will give you 1 mark, right? So let's see what went on. Alternative approach is supposed to find 1 percentage change in quantity demand divided by percentage change in price. What is the percentage change in quantity demand? It's a new demand minus the initial divided by initial times 100. What's the new demand? The new demand from the question is 40. The initial demand is 50 divided by 50 times 100. And if you put it in the function, you're going to get 1 mark. So you're going to do that for the percentage change in price too. The percentage change in price is called the new price, my initial price, the new price minus initial price divided by initial price times 100. What's the new price? The new price, as we all know, is 22 minus the initial price 20 divided by 20 times 100. So you have a 2 divided by 20 times 100. So what do we have there? This one goes here, this one goes here. What do we have? We have 10%. So that a change in price is what? 10%. Okay? So a change by 10. So now, this will give you 1 mark too. One mark. So now you're going to substitute it into the function. We're going to have change in quantity demand, change in price. We're going to substitute it into the function. When you substitute in the function, change in quantity demand was negative 20. Change in price was 10%. So when do you get 1 mark? When you cross 8, the answer will be negative 2, you find the absolute. 2, it gives you another 1 mark, right? So you get 1 mark for here, 1 mark for here. So what are we that? Change in quantity demand by changing that divided by change in quantity demand, percentage change in quantity demand, it was 20%, sorry. So the 20%, yeah, percentage. So you cancel the percentage, cancel percentage, right? And what do you have? You have the negative 2 over that and give you 1 mark. So you are not supposed to show the 2 approaches. Take one of the approaches and save time. I'm just showing you the approach so that you can leverage it and take what you want. You're going to use it to answer the B. Right? Now that we have done that, we want to answer the B. B, we are supposed to interpret answers in AI, II, and II. So your job is just to interpret what you got. Is it elastic, unity elastic, or is elastic? If you look at the elasticity we got, you're just to interpret. 1 mark, 1 mark, 1 mark. Look at what they have for I. Remember that the commodity X had elasticity, that was 0.5. We remember the answer we got. We got 0.5 for commodity X. So if you interpret it, you know that whatever commodity have elasticity less than 1 is inelastic. So we say that it means that the elasticity of demand for commodity X is inelastic. Because what? It's less than 1. This is because the elastic coefficient is less than 1. Then you get 1 mark. That's all. So what about, let's take it again. Commodity X, the elasticity of demand, what we got was 0.5. So this means that the elasticity of demand for the X is inelastic. It's inelastic. This is because the elastic coefficient is less than 1. You get 1 mark. What about commodity Y? The elasticity of demand is equal to 1. This means that the elasticity of demand of commodity Y is unitary elastic. This is because the elasticity coefficient is equal to 1. And you say that whenever the elasticity is equal to 1, it means unitary elastic, right? So commodity Y elasticity was equal to 1. This means that the elasticity of demand for commodity Y is unitary elastic. This is because the elasticity coefficient is equal to 1 mark. I. Commodity Z has elasticity of demand equal to 2. This means that the elasticity of demand of commodity Z is elastic. This is because the elasticity coefficient is greater than 1. 1 mark. So let's say Z we got 2, and this means that the elasticity coefficient, elasticity of demand for commodity Z is elastic. This is because the elastic coefficient is greater than 1. 1 mark. So just 1 mark, 1 mark, 1 mark. We're going to take the two. Say that explain 2 factors that determine price elasticity of demand. What are some 2 factors that explain price, that determine 2 factors that determine price elasticity of demand? If you go to the tutorial, we have done a very extensive analysis on that. You can go and get our tutorial on www.stevecoins.com, right? Here, I've given you only 2. Let's look at the 2 we have here. Necessities and luxuries. One of the factors that determine elasticity of demand is whether the commodity is a necessity or is a luxury. Since consumers cannot survive without necessities, food, water, and others, their demand is inelastic. Means that if the price goes up, they have no option. They will keep on buying. Only few people will stop buying because they have no option, right? With respect to luxurious goods, that, like example, diamond ring, consumers can survive without them, hence their demand is elastic. When the commodity is a luxury, you can do without it, right? I don't have a diamond ring. Somebody that bought diamond ring $50,000. Fine, I don't have it, but I'm still moving on. So if the price goes up, what happens? You will switch from the demand because you can do without it. So your demand becomes elastic. Let's go at another factor, availability of close substitute. Commodities that have close substitute tend to have elastic demand because consumers can switch to other commodities when the price increases. So if I'm a commodity, I have substitute. If our videos you're buying, there are other substitutes. If you go and the price have gone up, you might decide to go and switch for another one. But not our videos are very, very cheap, right? So if it can switch to other ones too, right? If they have no close substitute, let's say, because consumers can switch to other. On the other hand, commodities without close substitute tend to have inelastic demand. If there are no close substitute, you are sick, you need a drug. The drug is the only thing you can take. There are no other substitute. Then what do you do? When the price goes up, you keep on buying. In that way, the demand becomes inelastic. So folks, we are done with lesson 12, elasticity of demand. Out of 15 topics, we have done 12 out of 15 already. We have 3 more to go. Already, we have done our 18 topics already. That talk about national income accounting, balance of payment, international trade, agriculture, commercialization, World Trade Organization, IMF, World Bank, economic growth, economic integration, all those things. You have done analysis, statistics, data response, and everything there for you guys. So we want you to leverage on it to deepen your escalatory understanding and radical knowledge when it comes to pertinent issues in economics. right? Go to our website, www.steepcons.com. When you go there, the first 18 videos are there for you. When you sign up, you get all the 18 videos at an affordable fee. And once you sign up once, you are entitled to sign in forever. Once you are paid once, you don't pay it again, one-time payment. Anytime, even when you're investing, you want to get those materials, you can go back and listen to it without paying any amount of money. Again, if you want our pen drive too, the pen drive can be used for your laptop, can be used for your phone. What if you have traveled? Maybe you are traveling to Kumasi, you slot it to your phone. Before you get to Kumasi, you have listened to about 2 or 3 topics. Then you're gone. Learn how to be very efficient with time. So we have this try question for you. Number 1, explain the following types of price elasticity of demand. Elastic demand, 2 marks. Inelastic demand, 2 marks. Very elastic demand, 2 marks. Very inelastic demand, 2 marks. So 2 marks, 2 marks, 2 marks, 2 marks. That gives you 8. Let's look at B. Explain 4 factors that determine whether a commodity has elastic demand or inelastic demand. Remember, in the main tutorial, we have said all those things about factors. We mentioned about 7 factors that determine a product being elastic or inelastic. So these are very, very simple questions to be able to handle it without any difficulty. So we have another try question. The table shows the demand schedule of commodities X, T, and V. Study the table carefully and answer the questions that follow by observing the movement of the arrows, right? So we have commodities. What do we have here? Commodities X, T, and V. We have the prices in dollars. We have the quantity demand. Let's see what is happening here. In commodity X, the price increased from $17 to $25, and the demand decreased from 75 units to 58 units, right? In commodity X, the demand increased from $17 to $25. The price increased from $17 to $25. The quantity demand decreased from 25 kilos to 58 kilos. What about T? The price decreased from $36 to $19, and the quantity demanded increased from 23 kilograms to 57 kilograms. At T, what is happening at T? The price decreased from $36 to $19, and the quantity demanded increased from 23 kilograms to 57 kilograms. At V, what is happening? The price decreased from $32 to $14, $32 to $14. The quantity demanded increased from 28 kilograms to 45 kilograms. The price decreased from $32 to $14, and the quantity demanded increased from 82 kilograms to 45 kilograms. 82 kilograms to 45 kilograms. A, calculate the price elasticity of demand of these commodities. Calculate the price elasticity of demand for these commodities. Commodity X, 3 marks. Commodity T, 3 marks. Commodity I, 3 marks. Calculate the price elasticity of calculate the price elasticity of commodities for commodity X, 3 marks. Commodity I, 3 marks. Commodity IV, 3 marks. B, interpret your answer in I, and I. What does the answers you got in I, and I? What does it mean? C, explain 2 importance of price elasticity of demand estimates. What's the importance? We explain what is the importance of knowing the price elasticity of demand estimate. So please go through this, and we have a lot of things that have been done on our website for you to visit us, www.steepcons.com. We have our 18 videos that's already out. Let's income accounting, balance of payment, international trade. When it comes to distributive trade, economic system, when it comes to foreign direct investment, World Bank, IMF, when it comes to issues that borders on when it comes to economic growth, when it comes to industrialization, when it comes to agri, and all those areas have been done. The analysis, statistics, data, everything, try questions, data response is there. When you subscribe to when you go to our website and subscribe, you get, when you pay, it's affordable fee, you pay and you get all the topics for yourself. And once you subscribe, anytime you can sign up to observe the topics for yourself without paying again. Also, we have all the same topics on the pen drive, 18 topics, the first batch on the pen drive for you. The pen drive can be used on your laptop and your phones. Get it for yourself. All the lessons you have to learn for the 3 years in the secondary school, you have put them together for you so that you don't need to worry yourself about going to any classes. Just sit down, listen to it, you go and write your what's and you go away. Again, too, we have also other courses like science. We also have English, we have maths, all for you. Just to give you a understanding, get hold of all these things for you. So we meet again, lesson 13.